it this time. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky.
Jason Calcanis, you're watching the what episode is this? Usually the episode 33. Up on this TV. I guess the TV's not on this week for the notes from the guys. Hey guys, you want to turn this TV on here so you can send me notes? It's turned off in the studio. So Alex isn't here this week. Normally I would be berating Alex about technical problems. This week I'll be berating Ken and J-Mac on the technical issues. Wow, what a week. This is the second week of fatherhood. I am loving it. It's fantastic. All that stuff that people say about, like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. Turns out, Tyler, it is actually true.
Yeah.
And when I say Tyler, that would be the time to switch the camera to Tyler. Holy cow. Alex is gone for like one day and everything just falls apart. So we had an interesting week this week, Mahalo board meeting. Mm-hmm. That was good.
Yep.
As I tell everybody, this is my advice to entrepreneurs, when things are going poorly, cancel the board meeting. This is my big insight.
Yeah.
Postpone the board meeting. Come up with a reason, because there's nothing worse than going to a board meeting when things are going like this or, God forbid, like this. However, this was one of those board meetings where everything was going. There's Mahalo revenue, Mahalo uniques, Mahalo hiring, just everything, just woo! God, it's a beautiful board meeting.
Roland had a really funny joke about that. When somebody asked him how Mahalo's doing, he says, I don't know. We haven't had a board meeting in a while. And then we had a board meeting scheduled. Someone else asked him, so how's Mahalo going now? He goes, must be going great. We have a board meeting scheduled.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
Yeah.
That's my move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you may not have that credibility, but I would just lie. Come up with some reason. My grandmother died. The dog died. Something happened. You have a big business meeting. If the statistics are not good, postpone it a month and then bust ass and get the statistics good. Much better strategy than sitting through a bad board meeting. And hey, guys, just can we pull the camera back here a little bit because it's cutting off the top of my head. And generally speaking, audience likes to see the full person. Big week. Last couple of weeks, great shows. We had a great meetup after the last show, thanks to our friends over at DNA Mail. Everybody loves DNA Mail. Quick thank you to DNA Mail. If you want complete hosted Exchange servers and you don't want to screw around with an IT department, you guys can pull up my laptop now to actually see the DNA Mail website. There you go. These guys are crushing it. They're doing a great job. Had their CEO on last week. He's doing a great job. And they're buying companies, and in addition to providing great hosting for your Exchange and also Google, partners with Google, they also bought a company called PowerVPS, and PowerVPS is cloud computing, obviously. You get yourself a virtual private server. They did a ridiculous deal last week. They gave 5 people servers for life, and those people now should have their, they should have got a DM, their direct message from Alex. These people have hosting for life. The good news is, if you use the, and over 120 people entered, so that's pretty good. 5% of them or so got free web serving for life. If you want to get 25% off for the rest of your life, you just sign up and you use the twist code. And wow, thanks to PowerVPS and DNML for being sponsors from the beginning. They told us they'll be sponsors for life. They love the show. They love the audience. And it's always a good idea for you guys to thank DNA Mail and now PowerVPS. 2 products, 2 sponsors from the same company. That's when you know you got a good product and a good partner. Not only are they doing the DNA Mail sponsorship, they're doing the PowerVPS sponsorship. They've doubled down. They're spending twice as much a week on the show. We're spending twice as much a week on production, except for the production problems we're having in the show. But normally the show production values are incredible. So thank them on Twitter. I'm just busting chops. I'm doing a little Howard Stern thing, but you know, Baba Booey, whatever. Anyway, Ustream, thank you guys for sponsoring us, and you guys got the new iPhone application, and that's crushing it. And of course, thanks to WebSpy, we had the scuba diving, deep sea diving, welding CEO of WebSpy from Down Under. Jack came up and was on the show 2 shows ago. What a great CEO, and everybody knows WebSpy is something essential for you to have at your company. You want to know what people in your company are doing. You may want to know on an aggregate level. You may want to know on an individual level. If people are doing bad things in your company, it really stinks to fire somebody for doing porn or downloading illegal downloads. I mean, if you spent the time to hire somebody You don't want to fire them because they did something stupid like download stolen music, but you may have to. Compliance issues, all this stuff. You're going to want to have WebSpy. It's affordable. It's cheap. Go follow them on Twitter. Go check out their product. And thanks to Jack for sponsoring the show. And of course, we know the big news is that all these great companies are now being joined by Microsoft in sponsoring This Week in Startups. Bing, Bing, Bing. Everybody loves Bing. Bing is doing a great job. The traffic is up. They've got Google finally has a viable competitor, and Bing is sponsoring This Week in Startups because Bing is being run like a startup. Doesn't it feel like Bing is more aggressive in product releases than Google now? Forget about if they're a sponsor or not. I feel like I'm seeing more advances from Bing than I am from Google in search results.
Yeah.
And
well,
I think
Google is acting. All of the advancements that Google has made, in some ways, is sort of in reaction to Bing. It's like Google could do what they had been doing for so long because there wasn't a Bing. Now that there is, they have to up their game
fire,
and start.
They lit a little fire under them. And here is my favorite feature of Bing. We showed the maps last week. This week I want to show something that I think is even better than the maps, which is a search for me. Obviously, a search for me is the most important thing you're going to do during your day. And if you're searching for videos, let's face it, Google Video search, it's pretty lame. But Bing Video Search, this is the crazy part. I was on Adam Carolla's show with the Tesla. I just moved my mouse over that, and it starts playing it. And here's an insight from Tyler. I start hovering over it. You see Tyler shaking his hands. He's doing his whole big thing. Here I am with Dave Weiner, Puppet Dave Weiner, and we're having coffee in my backyard. Here I am with Mike Arrington, my partner on TechCrunch 50, the Puppet Mike Arrington. This is a cool feature. And you know, if you type a dirty word in here and you do this, it works the same way, which I think is basically the end of the porn industry. I don't know if Bing wants me to mention this during their sponsorship, but it's pretty obvious to anybody that if I were to type in a word like la 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 la, and then I did automatic video search, it would be pretty compelling. So what if you do a search for Calcanis? What if you do a search for a car that you like the Tesla Roadster? This is a great new feature, and I love to see. I just love to see innovation in the space, in the search space. Obviously, search is near and dear to our hearts at Mahalo. So that means there's 5 sponsors on the show, all of them doing a great job. We're spending a lot of money producing the show, and gosh, if you're a fan of the show, just say thank you to at Bing, at Ustream, at DNA Mail, at WebSpy, at Power VPS. I am going to give something right now to somebody who thanks all 5 sponsors. Power VPS, WebSpy, DNA Mail, Ustream, and Bing. I'm going to do it right now. What would be something totally kick-ass, Tyler? Let's do something that's worth like what's something that's worth like. I'm going to play poker Saturday night. I sit down at the $500 table. I go to the big table. I'm going to give a buy-in to the big game. 500 beans.
That's like a Laker game, or
well, it's 2 tickets to the Laker. I mean, for my seats, it's half a ticket.
Well, it's a ticket to the Laker game and get them out here.
Right, but anyway, so I'm gonna get what's worth 500 beans. What can I give to the audience that's so loyal to us? What's a good suggestion for something worth $500? Should I just give $500? Should I give a gift card? What would be a good thing? Somebody in the chat room tell me what's a good thing to give away for $500. There's 300 people watching. People are saying a gift card. A gift card is kind of cool. I'd rather give an actual item. What should I give? Something that's cool. A Tesla? Not a bad idea. A droid? Oh, people like cash. A Tesla? What do we think? AK-47? Not bad. Tactical shotgun. A Mac Mini. That's a good idea. Mac Mini. I have 2 Mac Minis with what's that software that Fred Wilson invested in that runs on the Mac Mini? I literally put on 2 of my TVs. Boxy. Boxy's very cool. Boxy's a great idea. I'm going to give away a Mac Mini right now to somebody who says thank you, Bing, at Ustream, at DNA Mail, at WebSpy, at Power VPS. We'll give away a $500 Mac Mini. We're going to give it to you in the form of an Apple iCard, so if you don't like the Mac Mini, you get something else. So everybody go do that right now. Tyler will look. Make sure you put pound twist at the end. And when you have questions during the show, you put pound twist. Sometimes you'll see me looking down at my laptop. It's not that I'm ignoring everybody. It's not that I don't know how to be a professional host. It's because I'm listening to your comments. Wow. I'm really excited about the show. I'm really glad that we started the show. I'm getting incredible feedback from people. And, of course, people's favorite part of the show is Ask Jason. Hands down, the absolute favorite feature is Ask Jason. You agree?
Totally.
Here we go. Let's do one. And now, here's the call. Here's the call coming in on my phone. I hit the speaker phone, and I have Travis on the line from the 608. Travis, are you there?
I'm here.
Hold on one second, because I just forgot. One of the things we like to do is have our guests actually participate in Ask Jason. Today we have a great guest on the show. This is one of my oldest friends. I'll tell you a little anecdote about him. Travis, you want to listen to this, because this guy's pretty much a macha. Macha? Is that how you say it? Macha?
A macha and a mensch.
A macha and a mensch. And I'll tell you the mensch story. When I started my first company, it was called Silicon Alley Reporter. I printed out little postcards, and I was walking around Silicon Alley in 1995, 1996, trying to find people to subscribe to it. I met a guy named Shawn. He was working at a company that was producing Word.com, which was the first online zine. I met him. He was doing sales. He was doing promotion, whatever. And I gave him a stack of these postcards. A week later in FedEx, I get a stack of the postcards back. He hand wrote like 20, 30 people who he thought were the most important people in Silicon Alley, in the internet industry in 1995, 96. And took the time to do that, and I subscribed him to the magazine and got the magazine started. He was responsible for like 30 of the first 50 subscribers. Do you remember that when I came by?
Mm-hmm.
You had the little tiny cube all the way in the back of like that alley. It was the worst desk in the whole place.
I remember.
Yeah, Shawn then went on to work at MySpace when they had. Well, you worked at eUniverse. You were president of eUniverse.
President, yep.
Which was the company that MySpace was incubated inside of.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were there at eUniverse before MySpace started?
Yeah, before MySpace, and then...
So then Chris and Tom were there.
Yes.
And started MySpace.
We acquired their company.
Acquired it.
A performance marketing email company.
Yes, a performance marketing email company known as MySpace. Well, it was something else, right? There was an actual company.
ResponseBase.
ResponseBase was the company, then became MySpace, and you had a great run there. You worked with me on Weblogs Inc.
That's right, that's right.
We had an incredible year there. Wow, what a roller coaster. We'll talk about that later during the interview segment. And now you've gone on to be the CEO of Cocodot, which was a TechCrunch 50 company.
That's right.
And is crushing it versus Evite and the other donkey invite sites out there. You've been in the internet business since 1994, 95.
That's true, that's true.
You've been at 2 or 3 public companies in the internet space.
Rare Medium, eUniverse.
eUniverse, exactly. News Corp. You've been at startups. You've been at least 5 startup companies. Boy, you've learned a lot, and I can't wait to get to the interview segment. But right now, let's find out what Travis's problem is. Travis, you're calling from the 608. Tell us, where are you calling from?
608 is the technology mecca of La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Oh, my God. So your question is, how can I make my startup company work in La Crosse, Wisconsin? And my answer is, you can't. Move to the valley. So you're calling from Wisconsin, and you have a question for us. What is? Oh, let me ask you first. Have you been listening to the show for a long time?
Yeah, every episode.
You've seen all 33 episodes.
Every single one.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh, man, the Gary Vee and Mark Goldston are the classics. I really like the Don Dodge. I think that was my first one, and so that was exciting.
I agree. I think he's got the classics down. Some people say the N.A. Duke is now part of the classics. I can't disagree. I love that show as well. Do you have a favorite segment on the show?
Depending on the guest, usually the interview.
Right. Sometimes we got a great guest. Sometimes, let's face it, the guest doesn't bring it. I can't do anything about it. At least I know today the guest. Did I say breast? I think I said breast. There's a little Freudian slip there. I've been seeing breastfeeding like literally all day long. It's unbelievable. My wife is feeding this kid every 2 hours. I mean, you've been through this.
I've been through it.
I mean, it's my entire life revolves around breastfeeding right now. I was up 3 times last night. Maybe that's why I'm a little on tilt, because I haven't slept. Travis, what's your question?
Question is this. I'm going to be graduating school here in May. About 4 years ago, my buddy and I started up a little startup called ecstageart.com, and we've been doing that for the last 4 years while I've been in school. And now this year I started up keyminer.com, which is another kind of a sister company to ecstageart.com. And so here's my deal is I'm graduating in May. I'm ready to do the startup thing. I know I've got what it takes, and I'm excited to tackle it, but is it realistic to think that someone can come right out of school with just 4 years in experience, trying to get a startup going and learn what you need to learn by just doing it? Or am I better off trying to find another startup to work for and learn the ropes that way? And I'm just curious about your opinion there.
Okay, so this is a great question. I get this question all the time. I'm coming out of school. Should I go work for a great entrepreneur like you, Jason, and learn as much as I can? Or should I go do it myself and make mistakes and learn and get my ass kicked every day? And the great answer to that is yes. Either of these are great ways to get your ass kicked and learn. And you are in the 2% of people graduating from school who actually wants to kick ass. Therefore, you can flip an effing coin and win, because the other 98% of your contemporaries are a bunch of donkey, lazy, self-entitled what do we call this generation? Is it Gen Y?
The millennials?
The millennials.
Millennials.
I call
Millennials.
generation lame. In general, I would say 98% of this millennial generation is generation lame.
Generation
They don't
entitled.
want to work hard. They want to save the planet, but they don't actually want to do any work to save the planet. Is everything okay, J-Mac?
Yeah, check your mic connection.
Checking my mic connection. Okay. It's not plugged in.
That would solve that.
That would solve that. Okay. So, did people hear me for the first half of the show?
They've heard you just fine.
Because I got a booming voice and they can hear me on the other microphones.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so next time we do the show, let's check the microphones and that they're plugged in. Not a bad idea.
Hey.
Okay, so Travis, there you have it for me. My feeling, and I tell you something, the best part of your call is that you got a plugin for keyminer.com and EC Stage Art. You have learned the fundamental part of being a startup, being an entrepreneur, which is always be selling, always be marketing. If you don't believe in your brand and you're not proud to say it, why should anybody else? I'm guessing keyminer.com is your site, Keyminer, and it looks like you're using that Q&A service from Stack Overflow.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. And what was the name of the other site?
EC, the letters E and C, stageart.com.
And is this another Q&A company?
This is not a web-based. This is we work in the music industry actually with performing artists.
Great. So I think that you're on the right track. The benefit to going and working for an entrepreneur is that you will get sort of thrown into the deep end of the pool. And you can ask questions to people. If you get the right company, and you have to go to them and you have to find the job, and it's hard to get some CEO to hire you because you have no experience and nothing. Probably there might be the perception that you bring nothing to the party. So you have to do a really good job of explaining to them that, number one, you don't care about what you get paid. You're going to work 80, 90 hours a week, just like it's your own company. You'll do whatever it takes, and you know how to learn things really quickly. That's my best advice for trying to get one of those jobs, and bring something to the table. I know HTML, I know CSS, I know affiliate marketing, I know blogging, I know social media. Know as much as you can, and just say, I will do whatever you put in front of me, I will crush it, and if I don't, you can fire me immediately. That's how you can get a job. I'm waiting for somebody to come in here and say that's what they're going to do. Shawn, you've heard the question, you've heard my sort of initial reaction to it. What do you think? What's the best thing for Travis to do? Should he go work for a big company, or should he be an entrepreneur on his own?
Well, I don't know what Travis knows and what he's learned in the last couple of years with his two companies. So, you know, he may have the right stuff to go out on his own. And it certainly really does depend on the entrepreneur you can work with. In this cross Wisconsin, it may be difficult to find a baller, you know, in the internet space to really learn a lot from. So you may have to move to
Yeah, that's the first piece of advice. I'm sure you got a lot of love for your hometown. It's not going to happen for you in Wisconsin. No offense to Wisconsin. You have basically 5 cities you need to move to, maybe 10. And in order, it's San Francisco, the Valley, New York, Boston, Los Angeles, Austin, Seattle. Anything other than that, it's a waste of your time. You have to go where the biggest companies are that are crushing it. Facebook, Twitter, Mahalo, eUniverse, MySpace, Yahoo. Just go down the list of all the companies, and where are they? They're in like one of these 5 cities. And
not La Crosse.
They're not going to be in Wisconsin. It's no offense to Wisconsin. If you want to make cheese, that's where you need to be. If you were aspiring to make the sharpest cheddar, I would say stay where you are. If not, get out of Dodge as quick as possible. Do not let anybody tell you, like, oh, you have to stay here. Do not worry about will you be able to survive. You just have to pack on your bags, get on a bus, and be one of the people who's brave enough to leave their hometown. Because guess what? 90% of people are not brave enough to even take that step.
Hear you.
All right. This is a good question. Anything else you want to tell? You're going to win either way, kid. Just get out of Wisconsin quickly.
The fact that you're listening to Jason's show is putting you.
That
you're
is
already-
actually put you in a different group. But no, seriously, step one, get out of Wisconsin quickly. You can always go back. You could become hugely successful, go back to Wisconsin and start your companies there. Listen, I don't live in the Valley. God forbid I did. I would hate it up there. It's too many people who are involved in the internet. I wouldn't be able to get a Starbucks without getting bugged by people for angel investment. That's why I'm here in LA. Also, the weather's better and all kinds of other reasons. But when you're up and coming, you got to get established. You need to be someplace,
Unless, of course, you're starting a performance marketing company, then you can stay there. Or you might want to move to Boca.
Look at that little nice comment there from. Okay, take care, Travis.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything, and let us know how it works out. Let us know when you're in the Valley. I'll make a couple introductions for you. Meet a couple people. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jason.
Your Uncle Jason will give you some introductions when you get there off the bus. Okay.
Perfect.
Actually, you
Thanks.
know what? You could probably stay with Travis Kalanick, who's got a place in literally Travis Kalanick, right? Who did Red Swoosh, was inviting people who were the TechCrunch 50 startups to crash on his couch. So if you're like all you say you are, I'll get you in touch with Travis. Maybe he'll let you sleep on his couch.
All right.
All right, man. Be cool. There you go. Making the magic happen. Our good friend Brian Alvey just tuned into Jason's latest show. Shawn Gold is even hotter in person.
Nice.
True. All right, let's take another call. This one's from Stephen Cross from the 401. And there we have it. Stephen Cross, 401. Where are you calling from?
Providence, Rhode Island, Jason.
Providence, Rhode Island. I like it there. And how long have you been listening to the show?
Probably 4 months, and I think I've listened to all of the episodes by now.
Wow, you're caught up. When do you listen to the show? You listen to the
am.
show when you're on the treadmill? You listen to the show when you're walking, when you're working, when you're supposed to be
I
working
do
for
it
your
at
boss?
night. I do it at night instead of watching the junk that's on television.
That's a smart move. That's a smart move. And when you say junk, you mean things like the television show Shark Tank. So tell us, what is your favorite segment of the show?
I think I like them all, actually.
Good
I
answer.
learn a little bit here and there on every show, so they're all good.
Awesome. That's the right answer. What is your question for Shawn Gold of Cocodot, Cocodot? You can check it out while we're doing this part of the show, Cocodot. And what is your question?
Here's my question. I'm working with a few friends to put a website concept together to build an online community of very unique people. And I'm trying to get a grasp on what the value of that community is to advertisers, because the revenue generated from this website would be based on advertising, not on service fees and things like that. So I'm trying to get an understanding of how I go about understanding what that value is.
This is a great question. And interestingly enough, Shawn Gold is more qualified to answer it than me because he is the most brilliant advertising marketing salesperson I've ever worked with. He is largely responsible for the success of, or equally responsible for the success of Weblogs Inc. That's Peter Ross, Brian, and I, and Judith, because he actually brought the money in the door. How do you qualify the value of a community to advertisers?
It depends on, you're not sharing what your vertical is, but you don't really need to. You look at what the community is, what they're doing, what the topic is, and then I would probably go on to search engines, AdSense, and look at keyword clusters that are around the topic that your audience is gathering around, or the topics that you're thinking about creating a community around, and that's really going to be the best gauge of value of the audience, because like we did at Weblogs Inc. We started off with AdSense. We made some money, and we knew once we had 500,000 page views or so, we'd go to display ads, and display ads would bring in a similar high revenue that any great keywords would. So that's kind of probably the most simple and methodical way to go about it.
So what you're saying is leverage the existing advertising ecosystem, which is publicly available, Google AdSense. You can go into Google Keyword Manager, and you can find this out. You can work backwards. And in fact, when we were doing Weblogs Inc., we made a list of the top verticals in advertising. And some of those were consumer electronics, cars, parenting, travel, luxury items, and video games. And we built brands around each of them. We did Joystick, Luxus for luxury, Gatling for travel, Engadget, of course, for consumer electronics, and Autoblog and Autoblog Green for cars, Blogging Baby for parenting. We had varying degrees of success with each. Each of them has their own nuance. Some of the advertisers are more cutting edge and will get to your product quicker. Some of them will take longer. Consumer electronics people, they're web natives. So you're going to get Sonos, you're going to get Samsung, they're going to be paying attention already, Apple, etc. You get something like parenting or travel, or a consumer goods company, packaged goods company. They're not as web native in some cases, and you may have a hard time getting JetBlue or a hotel chain or a baby formula or Kellogg's to sign on. And that's a very important thing, is to look at who is spending the money online. Consumer packaged goods are the largest category of advertising in the world, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not the largest on the internet. There are other categories that spend more violently on the internet. Correct?
And also, we'll spend with smaller advertisers.
That's the key point.
I mean, smaller publishers.
Smaller publishers. You're a boutique. Well, this is a question I get a lot, which is, how do you get advertisers to write a check for a small boutique brand? You did this over and over and over again at Weblogs Inc. Much to my amazement, you would call me up and say, I remember DLP, ready to spend $25,000 on Joystick a month before we'd ever launched it. And I said, I can't believe you did that. It's only going to cost $5,000 a month to run it. How on earth did you do it? And you did it with Samsung, with Engadget, and you did it over and over and over again, Volvo with Autoblog. How do you get major brands like that? How did you specifically get those major brands to commit to smaller brands that didn't even have traffic? Or how did you pull that rabbit out of the hat?
Well, one, I mean, the bottom line was we were selling influencers. We were selling people, we were selling people who influenced the influencers. So, that was it. That's the only way you're going to sell a small audience, is that if it's people who really, spread the word. And that was highly true on Engadget.
On blogs, on Engadget, and we had the evidence of Engadget.
And blogs were hot. So, blogs were hot and they were a mystery. So for us, it was about, we're going to help you, we're going to hold your hand, help you innovate with online advertising, incredibly insert you into the blogosphere. Everyone was concerned and scared, and they were backing off from the space because they didn't want to make a mistake. So at that time, it was about hand-holding the advertisers and educating them and reaching people, reaching a very viral audience.
And it takes a lot of phone calls and a lot of meetings to do it, I remember. This was like a 5 to 10 discussion. 5 to 10 times you had to discuss it with people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you would get 4, 5, 6 in and it would fizzle. Mm-hmm. So basically you have to be extremely resilient.
It's a numbers game. And it's also getting people on the phone or having a compelling email, a very short email. Nobody has time. Calling people like, at 8:45 when they're in the office, but their assistant isn't, or at 7 o'clock when they're in the office.
Oh, that's a great tip. So 8:45 and 6:45, the assistant's gone, the person's there. What a great tip. You want to tell us the vertical by chance, or just a ballpark area? Or is it too top secret?
No, it's not too top secret. I can give you an example that is close. Let's say, Jason, you recently had a baby girl a couple of weeks ago. Let's say that, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And let's say that...
it with Blu-ray DVDs of kids' movies. Go ahead.
Right. Let's say that you had there was an opportunity on a website to have a definitive list of the people who have signed up that have just found out that they were pregnant, and then to have sort of also a definitive list of people who knew that they were going to have a baby in 3 months from now, and then the day that the baby was born.
Yeah,
you had direct connection to these consumers.
Yeah,
and
this
you
is
could
a great
unite
idea.
the vendors and the
I hate to break your heart, but I've been subscribed to Baby Center since the first 2 or 3 weeks. And after we had the kid, it said, your kid is now 1 week old. Here's what you can expect. They've made the most brilliant content around Baby Center, an email newsletter that my wife and I both get on a shared email address about your experience. Did you sign up for this too?
Yeah, my wife did. I would read
it is amazing. They have illustrations of the size of your baby, and every week your baby's a size of an apple, now it's a cantaloupe, now it's a watermelon, a
For a first-time mother, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Or a first-time parent.
First-time
Second time, you don't really look at that.
Yeah, but I mean, there was some good things about it because it's like now click here to talk to people who have a 2-week-old, and you can actually go to their message forum and talk to other people. Or they were talking about the umbilical cord, you know. So there is a great opportunity here for content and commerce. There obviously, I would study them. You probably have a different spin on it, but I would study it because you are onto something. Having a baby is a major life event with a lot of considered purchases around it, and knowing the time segment of somebody's life, boy, is that going to add up because if you can get them even, I know the people who were doing the wedding magazines and stuff like that, which is another major life event, they were trying to stay in touch with people to start the relationship for baby making, house buying, car buying, college education. If you can get on that track with people in a trusted content or community, you got a big winner. So good luck with it.
There's also some very popular sites that focus not on babies, but on conception.
Really?
They focus on the conception. I think it's called porn.
Yeah.
Oh, adult entertainment, yes. So if you could get involved, I mean, if you're actually watching porn, then you're probably not actually with another person. Ergo, that's maybe for single people. Maybe you should be doing, actually, you know who should be, eHarmony should sponsor all the porn sites. Even though they're sort of like, I think they're not a religious organization or something. They have a little bit of a, like they're a little more wholesome. They probably wouldn't do it is the word I'm looking for. But if eHarmony did put their ads on porn sites, that would be like Alcoholics Anonymous putting their ads on alcohol sites. Like, at some point you're going to stop drinking and get your shit together. 147. I'm going to little edit that. To be like, hey, at some point you're going to stop watching porn and you're going to find a girl or a guy and actually conceive something.
Remove the goalie.
Remove the goalie, so to speak. Anyway, keep us in the loop, Nikki. I'm sorry, Stephen Cross, and good luck in Providence, Rhode Island. Beautiful town. Beautiful town.
Thank you, Shawn, as well.
Okay, cheers now. All right, so 2 good, solid calls. Tyler, anything you want to add? Any insights?
No, you've got me disturbed with the eHarmony sponsoring porn. I think that's brilliant.
I think I sufficiently brought down the level of the show.
Depends.
The show, yes, the show has gone down to the level of Shawn Gold. Interestingly, though, the viewer count is now at 380. It keeps going up. Okay, so, but from what I understand, the porn industry is over now. I play in a poker game in L.A. And the interesting thing when you play in poker games in LA is you get the true cross, especially when you play in underground card rooms like I do. You get the true cross section of LA. So this guy comes in, boom, I'll take $4,000. This is at a table with people buying for $500, and he's standing up, and he's got 2 girls with him who look interesting. Let's leave it at that. He is betting, and he's just $500, $300. I'm all in, and you know, like people then call him, or like then he wins like the hand. And he turns over 2-5. Then he does again 2-7. Then somebody calls us all in. He turns it over. He's got a set. Like he just obviously doesn't care about the $4,000. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Turns out he's in adult entertainment and some other things that you would maybe be in that sort of realm. And I was like, oh, and he's like, he's venturing out into other activities that would be, anyway. And I said, how is that industry going? I'm curious. He's like, it's over. I haven't made a porn in 6 months. I said, really? Why? He's like, oh, PornoTube, RedTube, all these YouTubes of porn, they're all free. And I was like, well, don't you advertise them? He's like, what? Advertise what? They just gave away our product for free. It's over. Porn industry decimated by the free porn. Decimated. It's basically like what Craigslist did to classifieds, the free porno sites with the YouTube kind of names, they have done to the online porn industry. It has just totally been...
I've heard.
You've heard?
I've heard.
You know people in the porn industry?
Yeah, I was looking for some UI guys, and one of them had done porn, and he says he designs the UI so it can be navigated with one hand.
Hey, that's the kind of guy I need here at Mahalo. Can somebody put a thing out? Can we get a Craigslist ad out? We're looking for somebody who was a graphic/user interface designer from the porn industry. That is a brilliant idea, and I bet you they're not paid that well.
No, probably not. They're all in the Valley.
All right, so now comes a segment of the show. This segment of the show is based on Do you remember, you know the TV show Shark Tank? You've heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
So Shark Tank called me. I'm a big deal now. You know, like I got my own show on the internet, interwebs. So they called me twice. Oh my God, we love Jason Calcatis. We want him involved in Shark Tank, blah, blah, blah. And they start dropping names. Who's the guy who runs the thing? The big television producer guy?
Burnett?
Mark Burnett.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Mark Burnett. He loves your stuff. Blah, 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 blah. And then they never call back. This is how Hollywood people operate. Very unprofessional. I mean, to not return Tyler's calls, very unprofessional. After you call and tell me, oh my God, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Anyway, the show's terrible. Is it getting renewed or not? I hear it was getting renewed, it's not getting renewed. They go on the show, they make fun of the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They lord over them. It's the exact opposite of the reality. The reality is, if you're an angel investor, I think you've angel invested in things. I've angel invested in things. I've got a big announcement of 2 more angel investments coming.
I think what they were doing is it's like the American Idol show
Right.
where the people come in to sing.
Yeah.
And some of them are great, and some of them are funny in how bad they are.
Right.
And they try to take that kind of a model to it.
But even the ones who
right.
are great, they're like lording over them like, oh, well, I want this much money. I want to, and it's like you don't want to create, you wouldn't want to start the relationship as an investor with the company you're investing in, with you lording over them and busting their chops about the valuation and giving them a hard time. You want to start in a supportive way. It's the exact opposite of reality. And certainly as an angel investor, you don't want to be a jerk to people. I have to say no to people all the time, and I say, listen, it's not a fit for me. I only do 5 investments a year, and it's typically in this kill zone where I can really help. This isn't in that zone.
Right.
But good luck with it. Keep me posted. Maybe I'm wrong. I obviously only invest 5 times a year, so therefore the other 10,000 investments that go on are going to do much more successfully than my 5 little ones. I'm not the only game in town, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we've co-opted their idea. We now do Jason Shark Tank. Let's run it.
I need money. What I want, that's what I want.
So this is the actual intro. We're on the air right now, by the way. Just keep it clear.
What I want, that's what I want.
Right. So this is Shark Tank, my version, where we support the entrepreneurs. Here we go. We got a caller. The caller's name is Nikki Hajal.
Yep, that's right.
I got it right. Hajal. H-A-J-A-L-A. I've never seen this last name before. Does it mean something? Is it something like, does it mean brilliant or something? What does it mean?
Actually, it means partridge, kind of bird. It's
Oh,
Lebanese.
very good. It's Lebanese. Okay. What are
Yep.
they just playing the Deadpool for? This guy didn't even pitch yet. You're playing Deadpool? I mean, that's cold. Sorry about that. We're the B team is doing the production this week, but next week by next week they will be the A team. I guarantee you by Tuesday they will be up to A team standards. 518. I know that. Is 518 Connecticut or Jersey?
No, it's actually the capital region near Albany, New York.
Ah, yes, that's where I know it from. I spend a lot of time, or I used to spend a lot of time up in the Catskill Mountains when I was a kid. Still go up there
Yep,
once in a while.
yep.
So you're somewhere up in Albany?
Yeah, I'm near RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
Okay. Okay, so Nikki, you have a girl's name. How do you wind up with a Y on your name? Is that a Lebanese thing, or?
No, I really don't know. That's just how I grew up.
That's the
and,
oh wait, no.
I've
Saying
stuck with
Nikki
it.
saying Nikki.
The thing is,
Is that like saying Nicholas?
there are a
like
lot
Nikki?
of Nicks in the world.
Ah.
There are a lot of Nicks in the world, so you need a differentiator.
Is that normally though could connote a female, Nikki?
I think I is more female than Y.
Ah, you know what? You're right, because there's a lot of Nicholases. And obviously I'm Greek, and you do have a Nikki actually. So I take it back. Sorry. You know the rules to Jason Shark Tank. You're going to pitch for 60 seconds. You've got 2 great entrepreneurs here, and you've also got Tyler, who hangs out with some great entrepreneurs. Tyler's become very smart working with me over the years. I trust his judgment. He's been with me for all 3 TechCrunch 50s. He's helped mentor all 140 TechCrunch 50 companies quite well. He's full of insights. So he is also going to be commenting on your pitch. You have 60 seconds. Are you ready to pitch on Jason Shark Tank?
I'm good to go.
Okay, in 3, 2, no pressure, 1, go.
Okay, so about a year ago, my partner and I launched NiceTranslator.com, a real-time translator based on Google APIs. And a lesson we learned from that was that no matter how good machine translation gets, people will never be comfortable using it for mission-critical tasks. At the same time, there's more and more untranslated content, like this show, and an increasing diversity in web users as the internet grows. So our solution to bridge this language gap is a project called Transissimo, and we're just about to begin a private beta. You can think of it as Mahalo Answers, but designed specifically for translations. Right now, we're focusing on building the best interface to handle a community for translating on the web. Once that's solid, we'll be developing APIs to bring in the spectrum of internet content for translation by our community. And so we have a few ideas for revenue. The most obvious is to charge for longer translations and to split the money with the translators. And my favorite option is a model focused around dynamic hosting and management of translations. So to bring it all together, Transissimo is ultimately going to have 4 fundamental components: an interface for translating between people, a ranking of translators based on performance, APIs that make it easy to bring in web content into our community, and a system to manage and distribute translations back into their various applications. And that's Transissimo, a community to help translate the world.
Okay, good job. You did I think you did it in just over a minute. When people have an interesting pitch and they're doing good and they're clear like you are, people forget about the time. So you ran a little bit over,
Right.
but that's okay because we're like, hey, this is interesting. Translation is a big issue.
Right.
We had Engadget in 5 languages, Autoblog in 5 languages, and we started to generate revenue from that. The world is going global, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you are in a good space. Google is very focused on this. You made some good points in your pitch about people don't trust things. I think that's probably a true insight. At least it rings true to me and makes me more interested in your pitch. You were clear. You have some domain expertise because you've done stuff in it. So I think that your ability to pitch, the pitch itself would be like an 8 maybe, 7, 8, maybe a 9. Like it was very clear. Although I didn't exactly understand what is unique about your service and how you make money, it did make me want to hear more. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat room right now to rate the presentation skills. Now that I've stacked the deck and given mine, please rate how good of a pitch was it from 1 to 10. Not the quality of the idea, just the pitch. Just his ability to pitch. I'm seeing 8s, I'm seeing 7s, I'm seeing 8s. What did you guys think of his ability to pitch the idea?
I thought he communicated it pretty well. There was probably a little more jargon than I would have preferred. Just probably a little more simple terms.
Yes. And why is that, as an investor, as an entrepreneur, that you like simpler terms?
I think that you should be able to explain an idea to a 12-year-old if you really have it, if you really understand it. Then you should explain it in terms where an average 12-year-old could understand your idea.
And it makes you sound like less of a BS artist. Tyler, what did you think of the pitch?
He was a little undynamic. He could have got a little more dynamic. He was a little bit red. I think it could have been a little more personable and engaging the user directly. Just as a tactic, I always try and get.
He did with that, we said Mahalo Answers, so that got my eyes to light up.
Yeah, I noticed that. But specifically, if you're talking to someone who isn't Jason, or try and throw something out where you have to force them to respond back to continue in some way, but make sure you know what the answer would be. It's a canned engagement tactic.
Yeah, Tyler has a point. If you said, do you know how many documents are translated a year? 1 million, 10 million, or 100 million? What do you think the answer to that is? And then the person says 100 billion, you say, no, it's 10 billion.
Right.
You get that? So that's what Tyler's referring to, is some way to make sure the audience is still paying attention. Really good insight.
Yep.
Tyler.
That's great. And also, I'm just being, somewhat nitpicky.
Whenever Tyler gets an insight, he gets his little jingle. That's his little Pavlovian response. And actually, we need to have that in the general office, because you guys get to hear Tyler's insights on the show. We get to hear them 1 week long. He'll just pop out of his cube and be like, I have something to say about that. Okay, so you did a good job pitching it. Now, about the idea.
Okay.
About the idea.
Yep.
You seemed to not explain exactly what it is you did to make money. I heard there's an API. I heard that it's humans. I heard that you may be splitting revenue with people or something. I didn't hear who the client was. I didn't hear how much money you were charging. So you did this great build-up for 45, 60 seconds about your experience, about the need, but there was no slam dunk at the end of, we are going to translate documents for bloggers in order to, or content sites to publish in future languages and then split revenue with them. Because there was a company at TechCrunch 50 a couple years ago who did that, right?
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it.
Alpha
something. Somebody can look at the TechCrunch 50 site, but there was a company that specifically had a specific value proposition in translations, and their idea was, We will translate your blog for you, create the international sites, and I think TechCrunch was using it, and split the revenue with you. So they said, we know how you're going to make money from this. We know you don't have the money to spend on it. And that was like, oh, this is interesting. Every blogger in the room was like, I might go for that. I don't know if it's been successful.
Right.
But so I give you maybe on the business of it, like a 3, 4, or 5, because I don't even know what the business is. I know there's an API. So guys, what did you think of the actual business? Does anybody here understand, Tyler or Shawn, what his business is, aside from just the general translation services and an API? Is there any specifics you can tell me about this business?
No, I got the idea, that it was and it could also be from me just knowing the internet that it's a crowdsourcing revenue share business. For me, it seemed like you were translating short text for free. There was a freemium aspect of this where you did short text for free,
Yeah, that's
but
right.
longer text. I guess the corporate. I mean, it's all going to be corporate or publishing. People who are paying for this, I would imagine. Who else is going to pay to have their stuff translated?
Yeah. So who's the client specifically?
Well, yeah. So you guys are starting to hit on it. So the general idea that we're working on right now is to start with just simple phrases, and so that's just getting the very generic interface of translating between humans on the internet. And once that's functioning well, then we want to be able to connect that with a WordPress plugin and with some classes so that it's very easy to translate websites themselves, not just the actual content on the page, but the links and so I think part of why it's I'm sort of ambiguous on the client is because it's more of a generic platform to access these human translators on the internet.
Okay, so
and,
that makes it more interesting. And the way you could have made this work, and this is something that Tyler and I work on at the TechCrunch 50, you understand, you know what the TechCrunch 50 conference is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Tyler and I do rehearsals with the companies. Shawn Gold sat through 3 rehearsals himself, 2 or 3, and he gave us his pitch, and we sat there and we criticized it and refined it, which is what we try to do on the Shark Tank a little bit as well. And so one of the things we try to do with people is say, give a concrete example of the use of your product that will resonate and show off the best of what you can do. So in the example of, was AnyClip from a movie?
Uh-huh.
So with AnyClip, which was a really interesting company, which you can go watch the presentation at TechCrunch50.com, we said, why don't you search for the word Mustang instead of searching for something more specific? They searched for the word Mustang, and I said you could show all the Mustang cars. They searched for it. There were 1 or 2 Mustang cars, but there were Mustang horses, and there was Mustang Sally's the bar, and it said, wow, this is a really interesting thing. You type in a word orange, and we saw literally an orange that you could eat. We saw the color orange. We saw all these different things. A sports team that was called the Oranges, whatever. It was just, it gave us we did that 20 times saying, because they had some donkey example, which was like the scene in Forrest Gump where he runs to the Capitol. What was that? They
were going for a funny.
They were going for something funny, like the guy Forrest Gump runs through the mall and he goes through the fountain, and he's like, you type in "run in the fall in the mountain" and what do you get? And it was like nobody types that in. It's just like stupid. Like your example sucks. And they were like, oh my God, Jason, Tyler, and it was Tyler actually who told them this, their example sucked. It was like, oh wow, you're right, our example sucks. With Shawn Gold, we did the same thing for Cocodot. Like, let's give a specific example, let's make it interesting, and it can make it better. So in your case, you're making the Mechanical Turk of translation. And
right.
When you give a pitch, it's good for you to take examples that the investors are going to understand and say it that way. If you said during this, we are the Mechanical Turk of translations, that means in less than just a very short sentence, we all would understand what you're doing. And that's exactly what you're doing, correct?
Yes.
So we are the Mechanical Turk of translations. Great, we all understand because we all know what Mechanical Turk is. We all perceive that to be something successful. You don't want to pick something, for your analogy, that's unsuccessful. You don't want to say, we're the Friendster of, that was a washout. But then the second thing is, so here's your example coming up. A person who was giving a presentation to an investor in Japan, which Tyler and I did recently, could send us their PowerPoint, and we would translate it for them. We'd have 2 people translate it for them, and we'd explain to them, whatever it is, and they could get that done within 24 hours. That, if you're pitching investors, they understand because they're pitching over there. You got to tell us. So that's really where your pitch broke down and really how you can solve it. Tyler, Shawn, any other feedback for Nikki, who did a great job?
Yeah, your best use case scenario, you have to paint a very vivid picture of a best use case scenario so that people can really get their heads around it.
What is the state of the company? Have you raised money yet? Have you raised angel investing? What's the status?
Actually, the truth is that I was sort of averse to, getting investors at all until I started watching your show, and so we're just really focusing on creating a great website, a great product, and I'm a lot more open to the thought of investing now.
And what about this living in Albany? I mean, what is it really going to get done in Albany or wherever the heck you are? I mean, you got to get out of that town. You going to go to New York? Where are you going to be?
Yeah, the nice thing about it is that I can just focus and work, and it's cheap. But we're going to be here probably until August, and then we're open-minded. We're thinking about San Francisco, New York City, Brooklyn, and so we're looking at different spots.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. You're out of school now?
Actually, me and my partner both left school before our senior year to work on our own project.
I like that. Your parents, what do they do for a living?
My dad, I got my last name. He's Lebanese, so he came and he's a child psychiatrist. He came here for medical school. Oh. And my mom is a portrait painter.
So he's a professional. He makes bank. This guy's making over 6 figures.
Yeah,
Did he give you what kind of car did he give you when you were a senior in high school? A Volvo? What did he give you?
I drove an Acura.
So your dad gave you an Acura in high school. Was it a brand new Acura? Or was it an old Acura? How many years old was it?
Well, my sister had it before me. Okay.
So he gave you the Acura, and this is where I'm getting a little worried. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I get very nervous when people are given cars when they're in high school because I don't know if they're going to be hard workers. This is why I always ask this question. So are you a hard worker, or you got a sense of entitlement? Because you didn't work for that car, did you?
Yeah, well, let me tell you. Growing up, what I struggled for was time to work on my own projects. It wasn't about stuff; it was about time to work on projects, and so that is what my fight was, and that's why I left school, and that's why I'm so happy now. Okay. And I work all the time. That's all I do.
Okay.
But
so I don't have to be worried as a potential investor that you got a silver spoon, that it's not really serious for you, that dad's going to bail you out, and you go back to school. You got the hustle in you?
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Okay. I just like to ask because people in the chat room are going, get the rich kid off the phone. Now, this is not to say that rich kids can't go and be successful. Donald Trump, his dad was mega rich. Yeah. It got him off the right foot.
I think rich is a little bit of a stretch, by the way.
You're not mega rich. My preference is the kids who are broke because they got a little more hustle. But sometimes when they're that broke, they don't have as much aspiration. They don't know how big it could get. So you might be actually in the sweet spot since your dad is an immigrant. Immigrant parents or immigrant grandparents means the kids have a better work ethic. I got the sense your dad's a very hard worker. True or not true?
Very true, and he loves his job.
Right. So I get a sense he got hustle. If you had said you were given a Benz and it was new, or if that Acura was new, I would hang up the phone. Honestly, anybody who's given a new car, I mean, my daughter's getting a Tesla, but that's different. I'm just kidding. I ask you those questions only because I just want to get an idea of the person. I think that, how far along are you? Do you have the new mock-ups of this new site, this Transissimo? Is it ready?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, we're, just opening up a private beta. So, I've been collecting names off Nice Translator. We've got about 700 people that are interested in signing up. And, the first phase of it is pretty much functional right now. That's what we're going with.
Hey, Tal, you think this guy should come to Open Angel Forum?
With this one? Sorry, I had to
with this idea. What do you think? I kind of like you when you're that bigger in the screen here. It looks much better. We got to get the camera that big from now on. What do you think? Is it borderline or?
Depends on maybe how much more it can get developed in the next week.
All right, here's what's going to happen.
I don't know if he's like
Niggy.
hobby
Tyler,
investor, if he's like
Tyler, Tyler, at mahalo.com. Steep decline on Twitter. Steep decline, as in the market's going to crash. Tyler called it 2 or 3 years before it happened. That's why he works with me, because he's brilliant. You need to get in touch with Tyler. Tyler is doing the first round of reviews of the companies that will be pitching at the first Open Angel Forum on January 14th and subsequent ones, which will include New York. And make him your friend, because if you do choose to do angel investing, he's one of my filters. And you need to get to the filters, right? And I think that you're onto something good, and I would like, normally my prescription would be for a little bit of Gladiator, but I think you got enough Gladiator in you. My prescription for you is I want to see some screenshots of this, and I'd like you to share some screenshots of these with some of the sites and some of the Twist audience. So let's see some screenshots. Put them on a Flickr account and let's share them.
Hey, actually, I sent some. I sent some to Tyler when I emailed him about coming on, so he could send you those.
Yeah,
if,
I think
you want.
here's my prescription. Screenshots on
All
Flickr.
right.
That's number one. Number two, I would like to see a video of you explaining your concept of the mechanical Turk and giving an example of how it works on like a Vimeo video or whatever, with showing the screenshot. So you're talking with the screenshot. So if you get those two things done, I'm going to retweet them to 80,000 people for you and say, this is an interesting idea. What do you think? You're going to get a lot of feedback. You're going to get a lot of interest. And you may impress Tyler. Tyler gets impressed. Tyler and I start rapping about stuff when we're eating expensive sushi. And the next thing you know, you're at the Open Angel Forum. So you're in the kill zone, kid. And I like your ideas, and I like the hustle. I don't know about the Acura. A little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried about the Troy, New York. But you said Brooklyn as a potential place to go. I got a lot of love for Brooklyn, obviously. But good luck with it. And you need to keep checking in with us every 2 weeks. I need a check-in, okay? That's a prescription. I want all this work done in 2 weeks. You're going to have this stuff done for me in 2 weeks? Okay, good. Cheers.
You bet. All right.
Okay, take care. That was successful.
I have a funny car story.
You do have a funny car story. Go ahead.
And there's certainly
we don't have a like jingle for Tyler funny story.
No. But I did have. Now hear me out on this. So when I was 9, my father gave me a Porsche, and I had to babysit this thing until I was.
You said when you're 9?
9.
Porsche?
Porsche, yeah.
Porsche vehicle.
Yeah. So I had to babysit.
A Porsche carmobile.
Yes. Until I was 16, I had to really take care of this thing, and
He was driving it, or
no,
just...
No, it was just mine. It was just sitting at the house all the time.
This was a nice Porsche?
Yeah. So, the whole time I'm like really... So I get to 16.
He sells it. I know it's going to happen.
No, I turned 16 and he's like, you can't have it till you're 18.
So he moved the goalpost?
Yes.
Okay.
But he had never really said you get it when you're 16. He just said, this is yours. You have to take care of it.
Okay.
I turned 16. I said, 16th birthday, give me the keys.
Yep.
He says, you're not you're not getting this. Because this is, it's like a race car. You'll kill yourself in this car. I'm not giving this to you at 16. You're going to crash your first car, whatever it is. So this is not going to be your first car. I was like, forget it. I don't want it. He said, oh, you don't want it? I said, no. Next day, he sold it.
Oh, my.
So Dad is playing mad mind games with you.
Yeah, so...
This explains a lot.
2 days later, I'm in his nearly brand new Mercedes, big sedan.
And
I
you
roll
crash
the
it.
thing. Yes.
You roll it.
Completely roll it.
Jesus. How many years of therapy did it take? Are you still in therapy over this?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I appreciate your dad effing with you.
Yes.
Because, no kid should have a Porsche for free.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what dads do with their sons.
Yeah.
They play mind games with them. They get competitive with them.
Yes.
And you show me any entrepreneur who's successful, I will show you an effed up relationship with their dad. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, good. I got that going for me.
Right? You got a messed up relationship with your dad, right? A little tension there?
Well, given a 16-year-old a Porsche is also kind of crazy. I mean, when I turned 16, driving at 16 seemed like a perfectly great idea. But now that I'm 44, it seems like insane to let a 16-year-old kid on the road.
Right.
You know what my dad gave me when I was 16? Gave me a kick in the ass and said, go to work. That's what he gave me.
At the family company, right?
Yeah, at his bar.
At his bar.
He said, yeah, happy 16th. Now go bust table 17. That's what I got. I got to bust table 17.
That was my 18th birthday, was the kick out of the house.
Yeah, me too. I got kicked out too.
Literally on the birthday.
Oh, really?
Literally.
Yeah, mine was like right around my birthday. My dad was like, yeah, you can't live under my
Checkout
rules.
time
Go live
is
up.
18.
Yes.
Jesus. Okay, so moving on. Interestingly, a lot of people thanking the sponsors at Bing, at Ustream, at DNA Mail, at WebSpy, at PowerVPS. You have until the next, I don't know, 15 minutes or so to do that. I would like JMac to go through the people who mentioned all 5 sponsors and thank them and give me a name. And I'd like the name in the news segment. We'll announce it during the news segment. Who won the $500 gift card Mac Mini. So you still have a chance to put in thank you at DNA Mail, thank you at WebSpy, thank you at Ustream, thank you at Bing, thank you at PowerVPS. All 5 you need. I don't want anybody with 4 or 3. You got to know all 5 sponsors' names to get it, the gift card. Because I see here one guy, he's got everybody but VPS. He left out the VPS. PowerVPS. You got to include PowerVPS for Super or you don't get it. Okay. Now, you heard some people say their favorite segment of the show is the interview.
All right.
This is your time to
pressure.
shine, Shango. Where to start? We've known each other for so long. You've been an entrepreneur for so long. Let's start, I think, at what was probably very seminal and a very interesting moment. Tell me about the early days of MySpace, meeting those guys, eUniverse. This was the down market, 2001, 2002,
Yeah.
2003.
Right.
How did you wind up at eUniverse, and how did you meet the MySpace guys?
Well, I was trying. I was taking some. Let's back up a little bit. In that, got in the web in 1995 with Word.com, and went to a company called Rare Medium, which was about 11 people at the time. Became a public company.
A web shop.
A web shop. We did big brand stuff like Hot Wheels and.
You built websites.
We built websites, but inaugural websites for big companies, which was
Their first websites.
their first websites.
Which is an interesting moment in time, actually.
Yes, very interesting.
I mean, you had to go in and explain to Kellogg's or to Snapple or whatever, this is why you need a website.
Not dissimilar to what we did at Weblogs Inc. with blogs.
That's true, actually. This is why you need a blog.
This is why you need a blog. So, did Rare Medium, and that was actually pretty successful. Made some money from that. Joined another company called What's Hot Now out here with trying to sort of disintermediate, re-engineer the licensing industry. Interesting. A lot of celebrities were involved with it.
So What's Hot Now was your prototypical hype-based, a lot of money put into it, bigdreaming.com.
Yeah, I mean,
it was more of a .com than Rare Medium. Rare Medium was a service business.
Yeah. What's Hot Now had a good business, and they were a e-commerce service provider for NBC, the Olympics, Comedy Central.
They set up their stores.
Yeah, and warehouse the stuff. It ended up being a good business. Global Sports, or Global, whatever the name is, actually has a very successful business today doing that. But exchanges became very popular. There was a time when you really couldn't raise money unless you had an exchange.
Like VerticalNet.
Yeah, like VerticalNet.
And the idea there was what? Why was people so enamored
They were
with
going
this
to
idea?
disintermediate. There's a lot of inefficiencies in business. They were going to create all the efficiencies in the licensing industry, and a lot of that is deals and side deals, and you can't disintermediate
Lakers
those
games,
relationships, right?
golf tournaments.
Exactly. A lot of that's relationships, and it's very difficult to do.
But that was a big mistake people made. They actually thought in the internet business, we were going to get rid of the salespeople. We're going to get rid of the idea of deals. We're going to put it all in an eBay format. That's more efficient. Therefore, that's what people want.
Right.
But that turned out to be wrong.
It
Why
did-
was it wrong?
Because it's not the way business is necessarily done. I mean, there's elements of that make sense, but it's a combination of both. And relationships still play a big part in business.
I mean, you see it in the advertising space. You do have people buying ads on marketplaces, ad networks, but then you still have the big money deals going down between individuals.
The other thing is these people who are doing, they may have been correct. In 10 years, this is the way business is going to be done, but they only had enough runway for a year and a half. And as the market fell out, all these companies fell out at the same time. A lot of these ideas they're great ideas. A lot of the business plans we saw in 1999 will come back as successful businesses, and in this decade or the next, but they were just unripe.
So you have great success at Rare Medium, goes public, you have to cash in a little bit there.
So
Then you go to What's Hot Now, crashes and burns.
I left, all these companies before they crashed and burned. Usually when they went B2B, I left, and because I'm really a consumer guy.
Yeah.
And then I met these guys who were really scrappy, who had a gaming network, and they were in Connecticut and rural Connecticut, and they were trying to turn this gaming network into an entertainment company, and they really had a lot of traffic. They started acquiring these sort of dancing hamster sites that had millions and millions of people.
I remember that, yeah.
You know, and it had
It was like the viral sites.
Yeah. So I repackaged that company, eUniverse. They were traded on the pink sheets. I sort of packaged it as contagious entertainment, because it was. Right. And the good thing about this, we could not get any brand marketers for those sites because it was schlocky content. But the people who were sharing that content were women 25 to 45.
So this is back in the day when viral meant instead of tweeting or Facebooking, emailing it to your friends.
Right.
So they would email the dancing hamster.
Right.
All of a sudden, this email, you have thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people coming to these pages.
We had an email list of 60 million people
at
one point. But women buy things online. You know, if you're going to do performance marketing, women 25 to 45 is the sweet spot. So
why is that? Because they're the ones who make the purchasing decisions?
They have money, they like to shop.
The husbands are busy working in some cases. They're making the household decisions? Is that the
It depends certainly on the product. Weight loss, you know, vitamins. Makeup, even ink cartridge refilling, things like that.
Interesting, okay.
So the company became viral content on the front end, performance marketing on the back end, and we had no money. So we were going paycheck to paycheck. So when the market fell out, you know, we were used to building a business with no resources. So that's why we survived and really built eUniverse into a top 20 traffic site on the internet at the time.
Wow.
But it became Groundhog Day for me because we were doing these performance marketing deals. And whether you're selling vitamins, shoes, or whatever, it's just really a math problem over and over and over again, testing it, A/B testing it. So it became really boring. But the company was successful. I made some money and then left that company and actually started a publishing company, as you remember.
Yes.
Created the Guide to Laughing at Life.
You made your book series.
I made my book
series. Something on your bucket list. You always wanted to write these books. You took a break, you wrote the books. They did very well. People loved them.
So my wife gave me, you know, 24 months to make at least $200,000 a year as a publisher. Didn't quite hit that number. So Jason was kind enough to take me under his wing 3 or 4 months into Weblogs Inc. and then join you. And that was actually, it was great. One of the greatest things about Weblogs Inc. is we sold the company to AOL in, 18 months?
It was 18 months, and you were there for 12 of them, I think.
Right, and we had no office.
That was pretty funny, yeah, when you sell the company for a reported $25, $30 million, and there's no lease or office, and there's only 5 full-time people.
And I was working out of MySpace at the time. You know, so you were working out of your house.
And actually, the funny story is actually we went to Burning Man, I guess in 2004, 2005, maybe 2005, I don't know. And we drove there in an RV from LA, and I was talking to you about the fact that I think these blogs could become something. And I think that there's marketers out there, you really need to come here and do this. I think we're going to make a lot of money. I mean, do you remember that conversation? Did you think I was BSing, or did you think I was...
No.
I mean, you obviously came in and started working on it with us, but I mean...
could see the trend. It was more about giving up on my own, you know, dream than it was about joining yours, you know.
Which is a tough thing.
Right, as an entrepreneur.
As an entrepreneur, yeah, it is tough.
I was going to sell millions of books, but I sold tens of thousands.
Right.
So then I joined the blog. But we did those those conferences around blogs early on.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So, you know, we were involved in that trend, really at the beginning of the trend, and, you know, just jumped in. I mean, a lot of people did not make money in the blog space. The approach we took was very much like the advice we gave to that young entrepreneur. We looked at, you know, great keyword clusters, you know, areas that, 1, we thought we could make money, 2, we were interested in actually getting involved with, and 3, we thought that were viral, that people would talk about and people would care about.
Right.
And so we built that. We built it quickly. I think it's probably one of the most successful acquisitions of AOL. I think
it is AOL's most. I mean, they'll be pretty clear that is the most successful acquisition they've ever done, and it is in fact their go-to strategy for the IPO and being a public company. And they're actually very nice to credit us with it. That Tim Armstrong and Bill Wilson, they're a class act. I mean, sometimes AOL gets a bad name, but because of the historical stuff and because of the layoffs. But they've been very clear to say over and over again, you know, Weblogs Inc. was a turning point for the company, going from an access business to a content company, and we're using those lessons in seed.com, and you know, our goal is to be the largest publisher of niche content, which was our goal.
So we sold that. I didn't want to work for AOL.
Yeah, I
at
did
the
for a
time.
year.
And the MySpace guys had wanted me to join them while I was working with you, but I could deal with you that I would work with you for 24 months or until we sold the company.
Right.
And
which is always good when people can agree on, like what the mission is. I tell people here at Mahalo, I expect them to work for 3 or 4 years. Don't leave before then.
Right. Just as long as you.
I'll be really pissed off.
I think it's right. As long as you have an understanding and everybody's, So I joined those guys. So the pitch to MySpace for me was turning marketing into a profit center. That I was going to, they were burning $3 million a year on marketing. I was going to come in, push the budget up a little bit, but we were going to make money with it. So instead of sponsoring, Sundance, we would continue to do that. We pay $400,000, but we package it and resell it. And we made, we sold it for $1.5 million, where we paid $400,000 for it. We got, we recorded the filmmakers, we positioned the brand, we did everything we were trying to do in
which was a concept we had talked about for a long time, which is monetized marketing. How do we take the marketing efforts and monetize them? And then it becomes sort of Tom Sawyer-esque.
And so that, we built this company, this division that I built went from 0 to about 40 million in revenue in the first 24 months. I mean, it helps to have 110 million users to sell.
Yeah.
But, the sales team needed programs to sell. So we created content programs.
And these are sexy programs. I mean, you're going to Sundance and you're going to get all this traffic on MySpace. It's good.
It was a very sexy job.
Very sexy job. Very high profile.
Very sexy.
So then you decide, F this, big company, I got to go start my own company.
Well, there was never, it was a 24-month deal with MySpace as well.
Right.
Even with Krista
So
Wolf.
good experience. But you wanted to do your own
There was no way to make money there, really, any significant money, no way to get rich.
Right.
So
you can't be an entrepreneur at a big company because they're about their shareholders.
That said, News Corp is entrepreneurial big company as ever, as it gets probably, but much more than AOL. The difference going to AOL at the time to News Corp was pretty crazy. News Corp was, they really were letting us kind of do our own thing.
Yeah, for better or worse, depending. And sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't.
So then my wife, had this idea for a company, and she tried to create some imitations on Evite. My wife's a well-known photographer, and she, we used her imagery, and we just could not make Evite look good. And so she thought there was an amazing opportunity to lift the presentation layer and online invitations and greetings and reach a whole new audience, reach people who, basically if you're doing a wedding or a bar mitzvah or an anniversary, there was no online option for you. You kind of still
for a
had to
beautiful
print.
invite.
For a beautiful, right. And
if you pull up my screen here, I just randomly clicked on the holiday section, and instead of the sort of donkey, Evite, ugly, green and Web 1.0 horrible looking site, I mean, I'm going through here and looking at very high quality layouts and designs. I mean, this looks like something that would cost a lot of money as an invite. From a professional stationery store or something.
Right.
I mean, these look like, and so you guys are investing in making these high-end graphics for these type of things, I take it?
Yep. So we've hired one of the top designers, or the creative director from Bobby Brown, which is the most successful Estee Lauder brand. We hired a top creative manager from Target. My wife is really a great creative person, and then we're sort of building the top of the pyramid for a crowdsourcing opportunity for high quality content on the web. So getting in business with your wife is definitely an interesting entrepreneur.
She recruited you as CEO, basically.
Yeah, and I thought, I resisted because I looked at Evite's business, which is a bad business, and I was like, I'm not interested in this business. But then I started looking at American Greetings and Hallmark, and they were doing $100 million a year in subscription-based greetings with not a very differentiated product in a space where there was a lot of free greeting sites.
Right.
So it was not. So I saw that Evite's problem was not necessarily was really their business model more than what they were doing. I mean, their product hadn't changed a lot. There was a lot of issues with the product, but the business model was not the right business model. So.
And so what is the business model here? Because I'm going through this, and I've gotten a number of people now have sent me Cocodot invites. It's popular here in LA. It's getting a little bit viral, I think. They're beautiful. When they come in a nice envelope, and you open them up. Not a physical envelope, but in your email box, they certainly look good. These things got to be costing you a lot of money to do this graphic design on each of these. it's got to cost money for the photography or for the art, or maybe some of that's coming from your wife's art collection. Do I pay for this? How do you make money?
We make money through a membership or a per-use fee. So it's $99 a year, or $29 for invitations and greetings, $29 a year for just greetings, or it's 99 cents to send one greeting to one person, or $19 for one event. And this is all ad-free, because if you're concerned with style, or you're doing a life stage event like a birthday, or, a key birthday, or a bar mitzvah, or whatever, or a funeral, which is also a very underserved market on the web, you can't have ads in there. You can have an ad for Tide in your mom's
I always
screen.
hate that about. That's why I don't use Evite, because I find Evite is just kind of rude, and you get these like disgusting ads on them, And you're right. I mean, this is certainly beautiful. If I was going to do a dinner party, this looks like something my wife would want to send. And so instead of using Evite, she has a $99 a year usage of this, or maybe she simply pays $20 for the dinner party and does it.
And I've also built this as a performance marketing model. So I have a long time in performance marketing. This is set to really be a revenue share deal. I mean, in my model, I really have like a $25 net on a $99 price point, and that's to give away either through discounts or revenue share. Bulk of it to actually my partners, who are, and we've cut deals with. Don't know if I can actually say who they are, but some of the biggest retailers in America we've already cut deals with.
What does that mean? You can just buy a stationary card at the store for $20?
Well,
like one of those iTunes cards?
There's multiple levels to the deal. It's really a distribution deal where they give away, we have a freemium model for the 1 million mothers that sign up for their baby registry, and the 500,000 brides that sign up for their wedding registry. We offer them a free save the date and then a discount, and they, we promote them on our site. We promote their registry. They promote us to the brides.
So basically, you can take this high-end service, give part of it away for free, get the upsell, and help your partners grow. Because this is sort of the candy that would get you further. I mean, we had the guy who was pitching before about the, having the life stages company about, I mean, you actually have something that if I was going to invite people to a baby shower or a poker game, this would be a nicer way to send it.
And that's why the retailer and the other partners are interested in that. When someone comes into our system, they basically raise their hand and say, I'm about to spend X amount of money in 6 months on a wedding in this zip code, and I have I have 120 guests. So we can garner a lot of data from them just sending out an invitation and work them through the process and help them facilitate their dream while also making money. Invitations are about a $10 billion business. Greetings are about $8.5 billion business. But the event planning business is a multi-$100 billion business. Right. So you can probably, Hallmark is a $4.4 billion business. And they have probably half of the greeting space. You can certainly carve out a business just in invitations and greetings, but there's a lot more money to make down the line.
So you launched the Alpha at TechCrunch 50. It's now December. You have a first holiday season. So October, November, December, 3 months of usage. I used it a little bit in the early days, a little bit buggy to be honest, but now it's gotten much
it's better,
much tighter. What has the usage been like? What has the reaction been like? How are you tracking? I mean, you haven't really done huge marketing.
Yeah, no, we haven't done any marketing. It's really been an open beta for about a month, and we've had, just on word of mouth, 10,000 people using it. We've had a lot of great press. Vanity Fair, or actually no press yet, but a lot of great press has garnered onto it. Vanity Fair is going to feature it next month in the magazine. They asked us to do their Christmas cards because they loved it so much, and that's interesting because Vanity Fair this is the first time I think they've really done digital. So they're
most of the time when you get an invite from one of those folks, it's an attachment.
Yeah.
So they email you like from the person who's the PR person's personal email account with their SIG file and everything, and they're like, we would like to invite you to this party. And you're like, what's the details? And they don't put the details in the email because they think that looks corny. So then they attach a, 1 gigabyte, 100 meg, Photoshop file that they don't know how to turn into a PDF, or they send the PDF, you got to open it, you can't read it. Ugh, it's such a disaster.
And then for invitations, their interns are still using Excel spreadsheets. So they're using attachments. So the whole space is really inefficient. And one of the reasons it's inefficient is because there's no presentation layer that these big brands can put their name up against.
Right.
So Eventful is getting some traction, and that's mostly from people who are not really concerned with brand. But for the brand-driven companies, there's really no option, and it's very inefficient. So we built this site for people who are interested in style, people who are doing life stage events, and for companies who have really no option online as well.
Yeah, I mean, we used it actually for Mark Goulston's book launch when we had him on the show. Somebody said before it was one of the classic ones. And so what we did was we actually made our own graphic, but we sent it through Cocodot. If you pull up my screen, you can see it. And it does like really nice things like put the weather and the map and the RSVP list. It's very well done and looks really sharp. And I guess here's a holiday cocktail party, because this is my dashboard. I can see the events that I've been sent to. And I guess this was your party. This is one of the features I really loved about it was big, beautiful photos of everybody. And famous people in here at your party, of course.
This party is going to be in, some pictures from this will be in Us Magazine next week.
This is Mark Shaman, who is the guy who did the music to South Park.
Right, nominated for a bunch of, he's actually the musical director for the Oscars this year.
Really? I mean, so he wrote F, your Uncle Effer. What was that for?
Uncle Effer and Blame Canada.
Blame Canada and all the great stuff from the South Park movie. And
that guy's this Matt.
That's Matt from Global Green. He runs Global Green with Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, all beautiful, but I just love the fact that it's
Marshall Herskovitz, a famous movie producer.
Wow. And just really beautiful how the photos. What did he produce? Since we're name dropping.
He did the most recent one he did was Defiance, but he did My So-Called Life. He did 30 something. He's. I
have to say, when you look at this compared to Evite, you start to feel like, oh, this is a party I would want to be at, and an Evite party just feels cheap.
Right.
And I think that's mission accomplished. So the freemium model, hopefully people upsell. No advertising.
There's no advertising. There will be advertising to hosts. But not to guests, never to guests.
So if I'm hosting and I decide I'm going to have let's call it a dinner party, I might get an email from Sur la Table.
Yeah.
Perhaps Sur la Table.
Or, a wine or a spirits company.
Right, if I opt in.
Or if you're doing a July 4th picnic, you might get something from Target for July 4th picnic in a box, A, B, C, D options, where it's just a checklist. And
so this is a smart idea. You're saying, hey, people use the service for free in exchange for getting email marketing from those providers? Is that the freemium model, or is it both? You pay to upsell, and then you also get the marketing.
Right. The host will get marketing. The host pays and gets marketing, but the marketing is positioned really as a service. It's very down the funnel, and it's about helping them facilitate the dream, as opposed and very relevant opportunities and deals and things like that. So it's not onerous. It's more about helpful marketing, if you will.
And so what's next? I mean, it's in beta right now. Apparently there's some big deal going on with some retailer who's going to be marketing this for you in a major way. That's sort of what we're saying, but we can't announce it now.
Can't announce it now.
But the deal is closed.
The deal is closed, and
so we got a closed deal with a major person. Could be a Macy's, could be some big company like that.
Big company, and then we also have deals closed with other big female targeted audience on the internet.
Good.
That are
so an iVillage type or something.
Right, and they're all about, and those are all performance marketing deals. So there's no cash up front. It's just about a revenue share.
So if somebody buys the $100 a year subscription, you split it.
Exactly, or yeah.
Do you have an affiliate program like running through like a commission junction yet?
No, we have it direct. It's really our own.
Better to do it direct.
Yeah,
you want control of where this goes?
Yeah, right now we want a lot of control because brand is really important, and positioning the product is exceptionally important at this time, in the company.
Yeah.
So we could put this deal out on the internet and say, hey, there's a $75 bounty if you sell this thing. It's a $99 product.
Yeah, but then you got people destroying the brand.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they're going to do all kinds of nefarious things.
Exactly.
If you have a question for Shawn Gold about Cocodot, you can ask it on Twitter, and you put #twist at the end. If you're listening to us on your podcast, you missed it. Too late. But there's always another show. You should tune in on Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, at thisweekinstartups.com. Wow, a lot of people are tweeting about the episode, which is great, and a lot of people thanking the sponsors. What have you learned? I mean, you've done 4 or 5 startup companies. What do you think the secret to success is at a startup? You've seen them fail. You've seen them succeed. What are some of the core fundamentals, things that you do, things that you need to focus on to make a business work?
Well, the first thing is people. You need to find the right people, and you need to motivate the people. You know, if you don't have the right team, nothing's going to happen. And it's really about empowering those people to execute and checking in with them, but making them feel like they have a big ownership stake, and potentially even giving them a big ownership stake in the company. Next thing is really just controlling costs. I mean, we raised $750,000, and I've been actually kind of surprised that almost every meeting we've been in the Valley, as we're doing our next round, people have been really impressed and gone out of their way to say how impressed they were with what we've created for the amount of money we've raised.
It is a very small number, and it's a lot of execution. It's a great product. I mean, to build a better Evite for under $750,000 is extraordinary.
So I was shocked because I was like, I mean, I'm pretty cheap, and we were cheap when we did this.
That's Weblogs Inc., and it was Mark Cuban culture. Just keep it cheap and make it real and get the sales in the door.
Right. So it was shocking to me because I always felt we just overspent. So I guess being cheap is another thing, and really
so
watching.
Be cheap, get the right people, motivate the hell out of them.
Motivate the hell out of them. There's a lot of pride of ownership. I mean, I plucked some people out who had not, they were really talented people, but they didn't have a platform previously, and basically we're giving them a platform. I guaranteed them this would be a high-profile opportunity. If they succeed, we'll make some money, but the next job, they're going to make a lot of money.
Opportunity means a lot to people who maybe haven't had the chance to shine. So you're looking for underappreciated people when you're building your team.
Right. And I had people who wanted to leave. And,
underutilized maybe.
Right. And you talk to them, you find out what someone wants to be, and then you help them get there. I had a guy who was like, I got this opportunity to be, to be vice president of this, and I was like, well, why do you want that? Where do you want to be in 5 years? So
sounds like you're more of a career coach and a psychologist than a CEO. I mean, is this really necessary to be getting into somebody's head like this and finding out what their goals are? I mean, shouldn't you be focused on the goals of the company?
Well, if you want to pay them half of market value, you really have to.
So back to stretching the dollar.
Back to stretching the dollar. You have to motivate them. You got to get people, giving you 110%. I don't want someone who comes in, does his job, and leaves. I need someone who is living this job, who's waking up in the middle of the night and taking notes and can't sleep like I can't sleep.
Yeah. So that really is about understanding what their wants and desires are, what their goals are in life. And typically not money.
No. Someone asked me a while back, what's the secret to your success? A job interview, and actually what's hot now. And I thought for a minute, and I said empathy was really it, because I'm a marketer, so you have to empathize obviously with the target audience.
Big time.
But you also have to empathize with your employees. You have to I read an article in the Harvard Business Review years ago that said the secret to the salesperson are two things: empathy and ego drive. Empathy to relate to your subject you're trying to sell to, and ego to close the deal.
Right. It's not enough to say, I understand what your goals are. You have to have that ego, that pride to say, I can do this for you. This is the best check you're going to sign. Trust me, give me the money. And this is what I always loved about salespeople. I always tell people the best salesperson I've ever worked with is you, because there was never a moment in time when you took people's money that you weren't 100% convinced that it was the best thing for them to do. And there was never an instance where it didn't actually turn out to be that way. I think that makes it really easy to work with a salesperson. I have to say, as a CEO, that's what I need from people. The enthusiasm. They have to have that transference of enthusiasm to the client, and they have to be able to look them in the eye and really say, like, I wouldn't sell you this if I didn't think it would help you. And I told my current sales team at Mahalo with a client recently who, it was clear, a car company, I'm not going to say who, was not a good partner for us because they didn't want to be engaged with their customers. Just like many times at Weblogs Inc., we said, you shouldn't have a blog. You're not ready for it.
Right.
And I told the salesperson, just tell this client, prospective client, that we will call them in a year or two, but that right now we don't think our offering is best for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really want to have them as a client, because even if they give us the money, they're not going to feel like they're not going to do the right thing. They're not going to be engaged in the community like they need to make it successful. Have you ever sold something to somebody that they didn't need just to make the sales commission?
I have to say yes would be the answer to that.
Right.
I mean, I've taken, early in my career, I had to, I took the jobs I could get, not the jobs that I really, wanted, essentially.
So when you're building websites, you're like, you know what? I just need these clients to get them in here in the door to keep this business going.
No, this was before that. I worked at a company called Shadow Traffic, which did traffic reports. The perception of the product was that you were going to buy, an ad up against the traffic report when attention is, higher. But our inventory wasn't that. There was some of that, but most of it was like run of station, content in the middle of the night.
So that must have burned you to have to. So you're like young in your career, and you got to sell something you don't believe in.
It was the worst. But,
that makes you want to kill yourself.
But what you do is you find
this
out.
is why people commit suicide.
Yeah, dentists, very high with dentists.
Is it really?
That's what they say. Dentists
Suicide?
have the highest suicide rate.
I think that's because they had that laughing gas constantly. I think they're just drug abusers.
But it's something that that Jason once said to me when we were working together. He said, "If you're not fired with enthusiasm, you'll be fired with enthusiasm."
Ah, I like that. I said that?
You must
Maybe.
have.
I must have. It sounds good. I'll take it. If you're not fired up with enthusiasm, you'll be fired with enthusiasm. I like that. I'll take credit for that. Tyler, any insights into this discussion? You're sitting there in awe of this discussion.
Yeah, I love listening to Shawn.
Sean's a really smart guy.
Yeah.
Any insights? Time to start the news. Let's bring Lon in. And we get Lon's news. Now, I'm seeing these Twitter names here on the screen, J Mac. These are some of the people who have said the names. Am I supposed to just pick randomly a number between 1 and 5 and then you'll give it to that person?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pick the number 3, and you tell me whose name that is.
Number 3 was Michael Tejada.
Michael Tejada has won a Mac Mini / $500 gift card. And we're sure that Michael Tejada in this tweet mentioned all 5 sponsors.
Yes,
he
sir.
mentioned all 5.
Yes.
DNA Mail, Power VPS, Ustream, Bing, WebSpy.
Yep.
All 5 got mentioned by Michael Tejada, Tejada. That's an H, right? It's like a Spanish name, Tejada. And so Michael Tejada won, and it looks like he's in the chat room. I see he's here. Oh, there he goes. So congratulations to Michael Tejada for winning a $500 gift card. Alex, make sure Alex knows about this. Make sure you get the 5 beans from me personally. And let's send out a $500 gift card to superfan Michael Tejada. Congratulations. Lon, we need Lon in here. Get in here, Lon. Lon is here. Lon, we have a big week at Mahalo this week. How was the week? Where's Lon's, do we do Lon's news interlude? We did it already?
Oh, they did it already.
Oh. Did you see it, Shawn?
Yes, I loved it.
It was incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I love your
Very
intros.
serious look. It's just, yeah. We have a lot of
I'm a
hype.
serious news man.
He's a serious news guy. He's a serious news guy.
Yeah.
And I like the way with the black curtain when we do the 3-shot here, he just basically floats away. It's like a floating head.
Yeah, look at that.
Next week, a black shirt, black turtleneck, like Steve Jobs. And
Right,
you'll just be
yes.
like this floating
the
thing
news-
back there, the floating
news
news
head,
head.
the disembodied news head.
Disembodied news head. We had a big week here at Mahalo, huh?
We did.
Nice week.
Going great, yeah.
Let's talk about the food.
Let's talk about the food. Flank
Chef
steak
Jen,
today.
Chef Jen and flank steak today. How was the flank steak? I didn't get in on that.
You didn't get any flank steak?
I told them to put some on the side. I'm going to have it after the show.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, we definitely saved some. Delicious. It's very tender. Teriyaki, a slight teriyaki flavor.
Ooh, I like it. And
Very
of course, pull up my screen. Here is Chef Jen. Chef Jen, another incredibly talented person we brought into Mahalo.
She's a pro.
She is awesome. This is her first job out of culinary school, but check this out. And by the way, she's engaged now. Congratulations on that, because I'm putting up her picture here, and you know that there's going to be 20 guys asking for her email. No, you cannot get her email, and no, she is engaged. Sorry. But look at that, huh? How's that?
That's awesome.
How's the Chef Jen jacket? I'm doing a little zoom in here with the Mahalo logo. I mean, it's pretty dope.
It's very classy.
We do things in a very classy way here.
very classy.
Very classy. I love
She won't
it.
wear the hat, though. I think
We have a
should-
chef hat?
No, we should get her the hat, but she said she thinks it's dorky.
I tried to talk her into the pants today, the
Yeah.
chef checkered pants, and she was like, no.
She finds the
But I
hat
just love the
dorky.
jacket. It's so classy. That's great, and it makes us such a pro. And so we have flank steak and
Today we had flank steak.
what
yes.
was the Mexican dish we had the other day?
Oh, enchilada. She made these chicken enchiladas.
Chicken enchilada. She
Yeah.
roasted the chicken first, slices it. So this is like she gets here at 6 in the morning. I just want to let you
does.
guys who work at Mahalo and gals understand the commitment she has to you guys.
Yes.
Gets in here at 6 a.m., makes you guys oatmeals. Oatmeal with all the oatmeals.
Oh,
You ever have the oatmeals? The oatmeals is
Is that
fantastic.
plural of
and
oatmeal?
Piscetti.
Because you know it's not just one oatmeal. Everybody gets one, so it's oatmeals.
It's oatmeals.
And then you
Several.
put in the almonds with that, and then the pecans,
Yeah.
blackberries, boysenberries, red berries, every kind of berry with the orange sugar and the maple syrup and that good stuff. But
There's no maple syrup, is there?
you should put a little maple syrup out.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, you guys, she made these enchiladas.
Yeah, it was pretty
In
amazing.
the green chili sauce with the roasted chicken. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I had 3 servings. It was so delicious.
It was one of the best enchiladas I've ever had.
It
I
literally
think.
was one of the best enchiladas
Because
I've
they
ever
were
had.
thick.
Actually,
You're
it was
used
the
to
best
those really
enchilada.
thin.
It was the best enchilada.
You're used to these really thin enchiladas, just a little bit of chicken, a little bit of cheese. These were overflowing. It was really like Mexican lasagna, is what we were saying.
I would say it's like Mexican lasagna. I have my
thick, real
check
thick.
1 2 on my microphone. How do I sound, guys, in the chat room? Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 check 1 2.
I did not. They're saying I
They're
kicked out
blaming
your
Lon on
microphone.
everything.
That is
check
ridiculous.
Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, I'm hoping my thing's good. Pretty great to work on Mahalo, correct?
Yes.
A lot is asked.
There's a lot of responsibility. Things move fast. That's the thing people have to adjust to when they come in here.
Speed.
Most people are used to working
Why
in
is
jobs.
speed important at a startup company?
Speed is there. I mean, you have to be there first. If you don't get there first, somebody else is there before you.
That's right, competition.
Yes.
Anybody who tells you that competition, it doesn't matter, competitors, it's not competitive, everybody can win together, is a liar. There is always a winner, and there is always second place. Evite's number 1 right now. Cocodot's not even in the radar yet.
That's right.
Cocodot has to bust their ass to beat Evite. Evite's got a 15-year head start.
Right.
Mahalo has to catch up to About.com, Wikipedia, eHow, Yahoo Answers. No, people don't cry in their coffee and say, oh my God, we can't sit here, but oh my God, they got a 15-year head start, 10-year head start, we're doing good. No. We just have to race up the charts and catch them. 15 million uniques this month. Very proud of the team, very proud of the commitment. Everybody working really hard right now. It's a high watermark for the company.
Definitely.
And you've been here since the beginning.
Very beginning.
Employee number...
I was guide number 3. I was probably employee number 6 or 7.
Yeah. And I think, are you the oldest employee now, or Elliot Cook is?
Elliot Cook was here before me. Other than that, I'm the oldest employee.
Interesting. Good stuff. Okay, let's go do the news.
Let's do the news. It was a little tricky, I will say, to get some of the news because Rackspace has been down, which brought TechCrunch down.
Oh, you're kidding.
Websites. No, while I was putting the news together just now, Rackspace when a ton of sites tanked. So TechCrunch is back. But Rackspace was there. You see, it's the top story on TechCrunch right now.
Well, let's do that as a top story.
We can do. That's what we're doing. It as the top story. So Rackspace, serial problems over and over again. They've had outages before. Mahalo was actually affected by one of these outages a while back. They were just down again. A number of sites went down. Some are back. Most are not. Scoble has promised that there is an explanation coming.
Oh, right. Scoble is in charge.
Right. Now he's...
So this is the... And did you have a question at the end? Go ahead. Come up with a question. You got to do the segue.
I come up
on
with
the fly.
So, Rackspace. Would you recommend any company of which you are on the board, you were an advisor, to go with Rackspace? Is there always better alternatives to something like Rackspace?
It's a Sequoia company. I think they do a great job.
Fair enough.
I think they do a great job. Everybody goes down at some point.
Right.
How's that for diplomacy?
Very well,
Pretty
very
good,
well
huh? Listen, the more important issue here is they went social media. They got Robert Scoble. They got him chatting everybody up. The double-sided sword of social media, when things go bad, social media counts 10x. So the really interesting thing is, how does Robert Scoble, as the spokesperson for the company, like he was a spokesperson for Microsoft by default, how does he respond to this? And he's going to have to really, it's really up to Robert Scoble, as crazy as that sounds, a publicly traded company, once again, is in the hands of Robert Scoble. And that is, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's actually...
I can't either, honestly.
It's actually true. Robert Scoble was the voice of Microsoft for a time. I think that they didn't even realize it was happening, but if you don't make Bill Gates available, you don't make Steve Ballmer available, and you got Scoble blogging literally 10 times a day, tweeting 100 times a day, guess what? He is the de facto spokesperson for the company.
He is always available. I mean, he will jump in anytime.
I'm very interested to hear how he responds to this. I guarantee you Rackspace will do the right thing. I guarantee they'll give everybody a free day of service, free 2 days of service, maybe in a free week. So it's probably going to cost them tens of millions of dollars to do a make good. And you know what? I think they're going to do a good job in doing that. And it happens to everybody. What really matters is how you respond to these things. And I do think the approach I take and the approach I tell companies I invest in or whatever is as soon as you can afford it, you should be on 2 providers.
Right.
Because no provider is going to be up forever. And Mahalo actually is adding a second network operations center, a second NOC, as they say, a second location. We will, if one goes down, if there is a 2012 type cataclysmic, Santa Monica slides into the ocean, we'll all be dead, but the servers will be up in Chicago. And as soon as we can, we will add a third and a fourth. If New York and Chicago both get wiped out, or Santa Monica and Chicago, the people in Tulsa are
They
still
can
going
still-
to
they
be
can still
fine.
get in.
They can still get Tiger Woods' voicemails page.
That's good. They're
They're
a target
gonna
demo.
they're gonna be on Mahalo looking up decimation of New York.
Yeah, good
Videos.
stuff.
Decimation of New York videos.
They're going to be
Yeah.
posting an anonymous question on Mahalo Answers. How responsible is Obama for
Right.
Santa Monica and Los Angeles floating to the ocean? How much of a failure is Obama?
Yeah. Is this because Obama's a socialist?
Obamonomics leads to 2012.
Yes.
That would actually, if somebody could do a mashup of Obama speaking in 2012 and then blaming Obama for 2012.
They did Sarah Palin 2012.
Oh, did they really?
Remember
Oh,
that?
yes,
Yeah.
they did. So maybe that was my unconscious
Where it was like
connection.
she becomes the president and,
And then
then
20
immediately the country just starts exploding.
I think 2012 actually is a pretty good movie.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Is it
pretty
good?
good. Pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to go see Avatar today with my wife and my mom's in town.
Nice.
Okay, any thoughts on when things go bad, what companies should do?
Punt.
Punt. There we go.
Punt. Always punt.
You're not on Rackspace. Or are you saying the company should punt?
No, it's all about how you handle it. Things do go, but there's a 100% chance something's going to go wrong. It's really about how you deal with it afterwards. There's some people you just cannot make happy, but you got to be a mensch.
You got to be a mensch. Tyler, if you ever run out of insights, this guy's taking the chair. When you're on vacation, he's full of insights. Just saying, there's a little competition for the insights today.
Yeah.
Next story.
You two will go to Sydney together. You'll have a photo taken.
Yeah.
Google and Yelp, obviously, big story everyone's talking about today.
Woo!
According to TechCrunch, Google and Yelp are in advanced acquisition negotiations,
Woo!
with the price tag looking to be around $500 million or more.
Woo!
TechCrunch is currently calling the deal about 80% likely to happen. Yelp allegedly had around $30 million in revenue in 2009 and already has a number of features Google may be looking to add to its local search, local business directories, Google Maps. Do you think this deal is going to happen, and who's the big winner here?
Huge. Huge, huge, huge deal. Sea change for Google. This is the most important deal of the year. And I don't know what is going on with the other publicly traded companies out there, like Microsoft, like News Corp, like Yahoo, like AOL, now publicly traded, that Google and Apple, all these companies have tens of billions of dollars to tens of billions of dollars. And Google is going out and buying the best companies. AdMob, now this. I mean, they've got DoubleClick previously. I mean, what are people thinking? They're just letting Google go and rob the cupboard, and none of them are stepping up. Apple should not have let AdMob go. And the fact that News Corp, who's obsessed with local, or Microsoft, has not, or Yahoo especially, AOL, has not jumped at the Yelp possibilities. Can you imagine AOL plus Yelp? It's great. AOL's content, they're obsessed with the local stuff. Why is AOL not going and making a big acquisition? I mean, they don't have enough cash right now.
City Search needs to be that instead of buying.
Well, I mean, and then where's Barry Diller? I mean, Barry Diller would then own 100% of the market with those two. This is a huge deal. Google is crushing it. All credit to them because they're aggressive and they're willing to overpay, supposedly overpay for stuff. But you know what? That's what you do if you want to get the best deals. And it is a major sea change for Google because Yelp is a content site.
Right, yes.
It really is a content site. They'll say it's a community site, that they're not in the content business, but let's face it, this is a content site.
It's all those reviews,
Even
it's
more,
all those listings, menus.
Absolutely. Even more, and then people say on Twitter, when I mentioned this last night, that it's a Google making its first content acquisition. It's a platform, YouTube. What about YouTube? YouTube was a content company. Actually, yes and no. YouTube was a lot of the traffic for YouTube was people taking other people's content and putting it up there.
Yeah.
It was not made for YouTube content. Of course, there is made for YouTube content, people doing dumb things,
There's lots
but
of it.
YouTube feels more like a platform and a hosting service for video,
Definitely.
and Yelp feels like a content company, community. Google doesn't get community. Google doesn't have one successful community except for developer communities.
They have Orchid in Brazil, which is...
Thank you for proving my point. They've never successfully had a community. Now Google will own perhaps what some people consider, which certainly is in the top 5 most vibrant communities on the internet. Certainly.
Yeah, and just productive community. I mean, communities that produce
Yes.
a great
I mean,
product.
it's basically Wikipedia, you know, eHow, Suite 101, Associated Content, Mahalo, you know, right down the line in terms of content communities, AOL, I guess, with Weblogs Inc. This is a big deal. I mean, what this basically means is that a whole slew of content companies that were not targets for Google, that nobody could ever imagine Google buying. Like, I could never imagine Google buying Yelp or About.com or Associated Content or eHow. Now, actually, I can imagine Google buying eHow and About.com. And as a matter of fact, they're going to. If this gets through and happens, there is no reason they shouldn't immediately go to the New York Times, which is starved for cash, and give them $800 million or $1.2 billion for About.com. And guess what? Yahoo, asleep at the wheel. I mean, asleep at the wheel. Yahoo is asleep at the wheel. Wake up! Wake up!
Come on.
Come on!
Come on.
What do you guys think?
That's very Christopher Walken.
Something doesn't seem right here, because if Google buys Yelp,
Yes.
and that would be kind of the first content company they would own, they would have a somewhat interest in funneling traffic to Yelp.
Well, Yelp's success, 2/3, maybe even 80%. I would say 80% of, at least 60% of Yelp's traffic is Google. Perhaps 70%. So Google is buying the search results. You are correct.
Right.
And they have a vested interest.
Right. But shouldn't they try and keep a hands-off approach to, we don't own any of this stuff, we don't have an interest in it?
We just sort it. You're exactly correct. This is why it's such an important sea change. With YouTube, they could say, well, we don't have search results that much, video
It's
search
more
results.
of a search engine for video.
It's a search engine for video. It's not really like the content. Now it's like, well, all I know is when I type in a restaurant, Yelp is the number 1, 2, or 3 listing along with City Search, and then everybody else. So this basically means Google, open season, we're going to buy our own search results. So that means they could buy Engadget. That means they could buy About.com.
If this goes through.
If this is in fact going through. And you know what? I got to give credit to Mike Arrington. Everybody gave him a hard time about Google launching their own phone. He nailed it. They gave him a hard time about Yahoo trying to buy Facebook. He was right. I would say Arrington has the best track record of any journalist with deals. Maybe on second only to Kara Swisher.
I was about to say, what was when Kara busted his butt on one not that long ago?
Well, when the Yahoo Microsoft was going on, Kara Swisher knows everybody. She's got probably a slightly better network of insiders because of her significant other is an employee at Google. But she's also been in the industry for 10 more years than Mike, so she got a better network, slightly probably. But anyway, if there's two people who I would say, when they say an acquisition is happening, I would trust Mike, Kara, period. Kara Swisher, boom. What do you guys think? You have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think, well, Kara is certainly less annoying than Mike, so.
It just depends on who you ask that question to.
That's true.
I mean, if you ask who's more annoying, Calacanis, Swisher, or Arrington, that's a jump ball.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
That could go either way.
I can't see this happening. I don't see
The Yelp thing?
Immediately.
Tyler's saying so you're in the 20%.
Yeah. I don't think Google would bring that on themselves.
I will say that immediately
It's such a divergence in their core philosophy.
It is. I agree.
I mean, it'd be awesome if they do. I'm just saying.
You own a lot of shares in Mahalo. It would be very awesome.
Yeah.
Let's keep the party line. Jesus Christ, Tyler. Google has every right to go into content.
Let's hope that it scares Yahoo into buying them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get the bidding war for content sites going.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
I agree.
Stroke the flames. Next story.
Twitter hacked. A group called the Iranian Cyber Army has claimed responsibility for hacking into Twitter.
Wasn't the Keiretsu Forum.
It was not the Keiretsu Forum, no.
Keep going.
We checked on that. At about 10 p.m. on Thursday, causing the following message to appear on the site's front page. USA think they controlling and managing internet by their access, but they don't. We control and manage internet by our power, so do not try to stimulation Iranian peoples. The company later explained that their DNS records were temporarily
All right, hold on a
compromised,
second.
but have now been fixed.
Okay, good. Do your question. Does this mean...
Making fun of my question?
No, I like it. I always love that part.
So how important is Twitter as a community organizing and informational tool? Should the government, outside interests get involved to ensure that the Twitter team can protect the integrity of their site?
Very interesting question there. A good handoff. Number one, the government is certainly not even capable of handling these issues.
Well, you'll recall the U.S. government did intervene to ensure that Twitter was available during the Iranian protests, which may be
what does that mean,
this,
intervene? I think it meant they said, like, make sure you have enough servers, guys.
Right.
I mean, that means they made a phone call.
Yes.
That does not
that's
mean
right.
that they sent their crack team of scalability architects.
There were not federal agents in the Twitter
Federal
HQ,
agents
no.
coding, their Squid servers and getting up a new Hadoop server for them.
That is a great idea for a movie, though. A team of crack government
agents who scale internet
agents
services.
who just go.
They're just like, oh my God, RedTube is just
when the government wants to
overloaded
help
with
a
free
website.
porn, and we've got to keep this up for all Americans, right, so to speak.
They're like the nerd secret service.
Number one, I'm just saying, what's with the broken English?
Well, it's.
I mean, clearly this is not Iranians. This is somebody who wants to make fun of Iranians because they're trying to. I mean, they can't even speak. I mean, if you have the intelligence to hack Twitter, you must have the intelligence to have a proofreader. Proofread your message to the world. I mean, they could call Nikki from Albany and use his translation service.
Or it's a red herring, and they're trying to make it look like maybe it's an American, and they want to
that
screen it.
That did occur.
That's what I think. It does sound like who hates the Iranians? The Iraqis?
Well, it could be the Iranian people hate their government regime. They're trying to make them look bad. Maybe.
Oh, I am Iranian government official.
Right.
We for
shut down
glory,
your Twitter.
shut down Twitter effective.
It would be a very useful rally tool. Everybody loves Twitter. Everybody would be upset at somebody they thought was trying to mess with
So
Twitter.
this is getting 3 days of the condor over here.
Yeah,
Follow
well,
the money.
yeah.
So who benefits from Twitter being down? What's the Latin for qui? What is the benefit thing?
Yeah.
Qui benefitio? Tyler S. Lade? Qui benefit, Tyler?
No, but the FBI,
Lorem
whatever that
ipsum.
mess is,
Benefitium.
I'm sure there are FBI expertise who can figure out, based on the grammar that's used, oh, this person's from the northwest of some Chicago suburb, based on the...
Yeah, right.
Get me Jack Ryan on the phone.
Yeah,
We need
exactly.
They intentionally scramble the stuff up.
Yeah.
You've seen those movies. Come
I think this is I'll be honest. I think Twitter fired a system admin, and he's getting his revenge.
Oh, maybe.
That's
4chan. That was my
Inside.
first thought. 4chan.
What could be 4chan? That would be a pretty good 4chan. 4chan would be
messing
like a
with
great
everybody.
4chan meme that the Ayatollah
just
cannot
start.
speak English properly, but he can hack websites.
Yeah.
So they should get a picture of the Ayatollah hacking websites with his team, but not speaking English correctly. Somebody call College Humor to make the Iranian hacker,
Yeah.
Video.
Yeah.
You know what? This whole cyber thing, even if Twitter was down, it's not a matter of national security. So now I can't hear Lindsay Lohan, make drunk tweets to Samantha Ronson. I mean, what am I missing? I could just play any of her drunk tweets to Samantha Ronson from the past 2 years. Who cares if
So
Twitter's
not
down?
the most vital communication tool of our era that we have
I'm
to
trying to
protect
think
at
of
any
if
cost.
what could they take down that would actually cause an economic impact. If they took down Gmail, that would have an impact,
Well,
I
it's
guess,
more-
but I would have other emails I could use.
Community organizing, keeping people in touch. I think that's the sort of thing that they were talking about.
But then everybody moves over. But the good news is there's so many services available. If, let's say they kept Facebook down 50% of the time for the next week, everybody go to their MySpace pages. Yeah, MySpace may not be perfect. I mean, that's what people would do.
We'll start a
Because
Google.
guess what?
We'll start a
That's
Google
what-
wave.
Well, look, because Friendster was down so
Oh,
often,
I figured it out.
because people, hold on a second for your insight, because people had Friendster was slow and going down, that made MySpace popular.
Right.
MySpace being slow and going down made Friendster popular.
Facebook.
Facebook popular. If Facebook were to go down because of people hacking it, that would just make some other social network more popular. It's not a big deal. Tyler, what's your insight?
I think it's Facebook to diffuse the issue on the pirate.
Oh, the Zuckerberg
Mark
move.
Zuckerberg is
A little
hacking
Zuckerberg,
Twitter.
Okay. So you do have. Okay, let's go on to the next story. You do have the story about the FTC complaints on Facebook.
I don't have the story about the FTC complaints on
Jesus
Facebook.
Christ.
Covered it in an email. Figured you got that.
I
out.
mean, if I do an email between shows and it gets all that brouhaha, it should be at least a mention.
Well,
or
we
something.
can talk about it.
We can talk about, but I need the segue and everything. So the FTC. I mean, I can do it. All right, next story.
The next story, Groupon. Let's talk about Groupon.
Wow.
Chicago-based discount service Groupon allegedly been valued at $250 million after
What?
closing a recent $30 million venture round with Excel Partners. The service, recognizable from its ubiquitous Google ads, features daily deals on activities, bars, restaurants, local services in major American cities. It works by assuring business owners a certain level of activity in business if they agree to a community discount. They call the system collective buying power, and to date the company claims it has saved customers more than $17 million. How did the site take off so quickly, particularly in light of the number of competitors they have in coupon deal and local search space? And is it significant that much of this traffic seems to come directly from paid ads on sites like Facebook?
This makes no sense to me. There's no way that they have a $250 million valuation. I look at Quantcast and Groupon, it has 600,000 people in the rough estimate last month. If we triple that, it's 1.8 million people. How could it be worth that much money? It doesn't make any sense.
I think their email must be email newsletter also.
Yes, they do. They do
but even if
contact people through email.
I get an email every day, but you're still going to the site. If you click
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, true.
So I'm on the. Is there something I'm missing? I mean, it does say that people save $50 million. How do they? And 1 million Groupons bought, so they've had 1 million sales. How long has it been out? Like 6 months, the site?
Yes, it's under a year old, so I think in 9 months, maybe 10
okay,
months.
so let's just assume this is a year's worth of stuff. If the year coupons were bought and they made $10 on each of those sales, which would be ridiculous, that would be at 10%. I mean, it'd have to be like affiliate fee is like 2 to 5%, so that would mean like tens of millions of dollars in sales. If they have 1 million things, that's 10 million in revenue. That would be 30 times their revenue as a valuation.
Sounds about
That
right.
doesn't make any sense. Then
They
again,
take 30 to 50% of the sale.
oh, do they?
Yeah,
30 to 50% of the total amount?
yeah, that's what they say.
Okay, well, maybe then that means that means they would have 30 million in sales. Maybe.
So they're locking in serious discounts in these places if they're going to take that big of a chunk, right?
I guess so.
That's
Discounts
crazy.
aren't that crazy.
That's amazing. I give them all the credit in the world if it's true. I just don't understand it, but wow. A $250 million valuation, that means the people who are investing expect that they're going to get out at $2 or $3 billion. If anybody's a VC's got to get 10x.
The Quantcast chart only starts in mid-July.
Something is odd here that we're not understanding. That doesn't mean that they didn't get that valuation, and it doesn't mean that they're not making a sick amount of money. I am on the, full disclosure, I'm on the board of Savings.com for the last 6 months.
Right.
Savings.com is making a great deal of money. I don't have any inside information or anything I can assess, based on Savings.com in relation to Groupon, because I actually didn't even know about Groupon until Tyler told me about it a couple months ago. But kudos to them. It's absurd, and wow. What am I supposed to say? It's amazing. But
that whole category is blowing up. Discount, private sale.
Discounts, coupons.
yeah, well, there's Guilt Group. There's Woot was the original one that we did on. But yes,
And,
Hot Look in New York, right?
or here, actually.
Oh, Hot Look is here. What's the one in France that was the original one?
Privy, Verveer, I can't
Privé,
French.
Privé, whatever. Yeah.
Privé.
All right. Well, interesting stuff. Moving on.
Moving on, you want to talk about Facebook's FTC complaints?
Yeah, sure. What happened?
So Facebook this week, FTC complaints have been filed. Class action lawsuits may be coming in response to their new privacy settings controversy. You obviously been very outspoken about Facebook. What do you think is the, do they think they can just roll over complaints, that it doesn't matter? Is it based on that sort of sense of just unshakable faith in what they're doing and their confidence in their future?
You just did that off the top of your head?
I did.
Well done. Not bad. So,
Thank you.
I'm pretty impressed.
I know the story.
You know the story. Listen, Facebook has a history of making huge privacy blunders.
Oh, I do.
Unbelievable. Unprecedented, actually, in the history of the internet. The only blunders that Facebook's blunders even compare to would be AOL with busy signals.
Right.
eBay with being down. eBay was down for the first,
eBay was, yeah.
like for the first year or two of the service. They were down constantly. I'm trying to think of like horrible reputation management issues. Friendster with their being down like crazy. So of the four I mentioned, 3 of the 4 are based on being down or unavailable. I can't think of something based on privacy that was just such a horrible
Yeah.
process. And we talked about this on the show last week when you guys were catching me up to speed on it. I wrote my editorial on Sunday. I said in my editorial very clearly that legal action was coming because it was so apparent to me when I went through it personally that it was deceptive.
Well, and it's happened before with Facebook, with Beacon.
And it's happened before.
There were lawsuits.
Sure enough, everybody starts complaining. Sure enough, the FTC is involved. And I do not think, to your question, I think Facebook is learning, as we would say, the hard way, that they cannot ignore these issues. This could be the Achilles heel of Facebook. This could deride the entire IPO. They need to get their act together, because if they have another 2 or 3 of these, people will start leaving the service. The emails I got back from my list, which is a self-selecting group of incredibly intelligent people who are very cutting-edge mavens, who are also very good-looking and make great dinner company. Those people on Jason's list are the canaries in the coal mine, and many of them said they do not trust Facebook, the majority. Many of them, the majority, said they thought Facebook was unethical, and many of them said they don't trust them and are not using it. And I got many emails about people and tweets saying they don't use Facebook anymore, they don't trust Facebook, they're removing their information. I'm not saying that's the majority, I'm not saying it's even a significant minority, I'm not even saying it's significant, it's probably not significant. But it is a bellwether that if they don't make a change sincerely and really change the DNA of the company, I think it could be the thing that crashes them, just like the thing that crashed Friendster was the speed issues, and the thing that crashed MySpace was the spam issues and the fake people,
efficiency.
And the efficiency of the system. No system will dominate forever. Yahoo had its Achilles heel. We're seeing Microsoft's Achilles heel now. We're with free software coming and competing with them, Apple competing with them. Everybody has an Achilles heel. Facebook is so high on their own supply, they don't think they have an Achilles heel. I spoke to somebody from Facebook, a very, 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 very senior people, one of the top, I'm not going to say top number, because if I give the number you could guess it, but let's just say in the top 1% of the company, easily in the top, well anyway, definitely above top 20. I don't want to go any closer to that, but it is higher. And what this person said to me was, we have done more for privacy than any other company in the history of the internet. And I realized that when I phrased, are they unethical, unlucky, or clueless, left out the actual choice, which is delusional. They think that because they have made the most sophisticated filtering system and the most sophisticated privacy tools, that it forgives duping their users into giving up their privacy. It does not. That is like somebody saying, that's like McDonald's saying, we've done more to educate people about fast food and health than anybody. Right. Because we give out more menus to at McDonald's because we're the largest footprint in the store. But you've also done more to gain weight because you have 2,000 calorie meals. If you didn't have the 2,000 calorie meals and you ratcheted the max meal calorie size to 800 that you offered, America would lose weight. And that's the analogy. And I really think it's getting to the point where the people who are there are coming into question by their peers in the industry. Other people in the industry emailed me from call it top 20 companies, saying, right on, we're sick of competing with Facebook because they're unethical. These are top companies who are saying to me, top executives of top companies, Facebook is playing unfairly, and what that means is the rest of the people in the industry are suffering. Like, for example, if Twitter behaved as unethically as the folks at Facebook, maybe they'd have to be 10% bigger, 20% bigger. And this is when the industry itself starts to fall apart. And Facebook is very new, Zuckerberg's very new to the industry. You know what? I don't care that Zuckerberg's in the billionaires list. He can't act like a schmuck like this. And he's in charge of that company. He's the CEO. He wants to be a big boy and have the CEO title. You know what? He's an idiot. He is an idiot. Because he's so smart, and he thinks that he's the golden child, and he's getting all these sycophants around him telling him what a brilliant genius he is. You know what? Zuckerberg may be remembered as the pointcast of the internet. He might F the whole thing up. The whole thing could collapse.
Like Mark Zuckerberg's going to kill the internet.
Not kill the internet. He may kill Facebook because of arrogance. He's a smart guy. I've had dinner with the guy at TED. You know, I like him on a personal basis. Somebody, please sit down with him and say, get off of your pedestal. You're not all that. You're making huge mistakes. You're copying Twitter to the point that it's distasteful. And people in the industry don't like you and don't like Facebook anymore. Facebook is going to have a massive backlash of epic proportions. I think it could deride the IPO. Period. I don't know if you're a Facebook employee right now, sell your stock because it's at its high watermark. The IPO, your stock may not go IPO and you may not be able to sell it. This could be a Pointcast level disaster. If you don't know what Pointcast is, they had an offer for $500 million from News Corp, didn't take it, it wanted to go sold for $10 million. In a fire sale, nobody made any money. This is a different level. Instead of a $15 billion IPO, maybe a $1 billion IPO, $2 billion IPO. They could totally screw this up. The users may leave, and there'll be other services that build trust with them. Or I could be totally wrong.
Well, it just seems like right now most users probably don't even realize what's happened. They didn't read that little message that popped up. They don't follow, TechCrunch or TechMeme or what people are writing about it. They're not on Jason's list, though I can't imagine why not. Is there a chance that this is just going to fly under the radar for 90% of Facebook's users?
Yes. And yes, of course. But there is also a chance that this could keep, this could result in more lawsuits. People might have things exposed that make them lose jobs, make them lose spouses, make them ruin their relationship with their kids. I mean, what if...
All that's almost assuredly going to happen, I think.
It's happening today.
It's happening.
It's happened this past week. You know that there are instances right now, they haven't come up yet, where somebody has lost a job because somebody went on their Facebook page and saw they were friends with 3 people at a competing company, or somebody's spouse, or they were friends with an ex or something. Just all these things that could bubble up in terms of privacy. Maybe somebody finds out somebody's gay because their whole network is gay.
Such an amazing segue into our next story.
No, but I mean, this is the kind of stuff that can actually happen,
So
where people's privacy could. Maybe somebody finds out somebody's in a support group for. Maybe somebody's in Alcoholics Anonymous. Maybe somebody's in Narcotics Anonymous, and they have a picture that's exposed of them at a Narcanon. Is it Narcanon or Narcoholics? Whatever the hell it is. AA. You know what I'm talking about.
Narcanon is Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah.
Narcanon. That's not the Scientology Narcanon thing.
Is that a Scientology group, Narcanon?
This is Scientology anti-narcotics thing. I don't know. When I was at the Scientology
that's
dinner,
Narcanon,
I went to a Scientology dinner and they were talking all about this stuff. I'm not talking about Scientology on the show, period. I got enough enemies. I'm not starting anything up. You're going to rope me into that. But anyway, these things are going to happen. These lawsuits are going to happen over the coming months. It's a disaster. And it's so unnecessary. If they just said, we have new privacy settings, we're going to Nar-Anon. Thank you. Thank you to the Mahalo staffer who goes to Nar-Anon and corrected me if there's something in there. Are you, Kenny Chen, is there something you want to tell me? I always had that feeling about Kenny. Zeno is watching, thank you. Zeno, big fan of the show, actually. Did Zeno win the Mac Mini this week? No? Keep trying, Zeno. The lawsuits will be coming, and they could have just said, if they wanted to expose all this information over time, why not just expose it 1 month at a time by convincing people there was value to it? And 3 years from now, you got a third of the base moved over, maybe 4 years, you've got half, and then eventually 2/3. That'd be enough. Right. They're greedy. Facebook is greedy, and they think that the users don't have rights.
Or they won't notice. I think that is the key.
Well, I mean, if you think people are that stupid, and you do it over and over again, guess what? At some point, the stupid people, in quotes, will be using a different service. You can only, treat people stupidly. I mean, people thought people were stupid with, electing Bush twice, and then, the Republicans get their bell rung with Obama. I mean, then I don't know what that got us, but that's a whole different show. Do you have any thoughts on this whole thing? I mean, you were at MySpace. I mean, is this a total,
Well, Facebook, has going back to empathy, they've had a considerable lack of empathy with their audience over time. Even when news feeds came out,
yes,
they had no privacy controls and everything like that, and people freaked out. And then Beacon came out, and privacy issues came up. And this is just a third thing. Every major.
Well, what about the surveys too? They have all these surveys where it's pulling all your personal information and going to marketers. That's another thing that the FTC or somebody's involved in.
I like their engineering, but their empathy with the audience sometimes lacks.
I concur 100%. Tyler, any insights?
The one thing that I keep thinking, this is kind of a personal note, when I think about this, is I was next to Mark one time with a friend. We were at an event, and it's a major event, and the event official photographer is standing next to me and goes to take a photo of him. He's backstage at this major event. That's the major event photographer. Just takes a photo of him and one of the event's organizers. And he immediately starts acting very strange and says to his assistant to tell the photographer, who's 3 feet away, to delete the photo. I'm like, he seems like he's very conscious about privacy in that context.
Right.
So when it seemed odd that he would be.
There's a disconnect.
Yes, so insensitive on this end of the privacy.
You're not the only person who's realizing this. There's a massive disconnect with Facebook's ability to execute, which is better than anybody's in the industry, with the exception of maybe Google's. but Google and Facebook execute brilliantly, consistently, fast, everything. So then you have to say, when they make a mistake like this, how do they do it? Is it cluelessness, a lack of empathy, which would be cluelessness? Is it something nefarious? Is it techno-mightism, where like we're a technology company, we're going to do what we want. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. If it was, they should just say, we're changing Facebook forever. It's going to be inside out. Everything's going to be public. If you want to close your account, click here. If you're okay with this, click here. But they don't do that. They have to play this game of pretending that they're this big proponent of privacy and hire privacy officials to work at the company, and then they do the exact opposite and do something sneaky. Be honest. That's all anybody's asking.
I think that they Facebook, there was a bunch of reasons, but one of the reasons they overtook MySpace is they really focused on efficiency, where I think MySpace, kind of lost the efficiency race. And they're putting out these products they're like, you know what, this is the most efficient thing, it's the right thing, but it's, again, it lacks empathy. Like Newsfeed, very efficient to share your information, but they lacked empathy that, maybe efficiency isn't actually, there's other variables to consider. That's kind of the thing I see. Even Beacon, kind of an efficient way to share information. You have Phil Kaplan kind of doing his little
Blippy.
Yeah, Blippy. So all these things are about efficient distribution of information, but they lack the human. There's a human element that's missing.
Concur. Next story.
Next story. This leads, as I said, perfectly into our next story. Netflix is being sued by an anonymous closeted lesbian who claims that the rental company is disclosing personal information about her that could have led people to discover her sexual orientation. During a contest called the Netflix Prize, contestants were given rental records for 500,000 Netflix customers and challenged with designing an algorithm to predict what films these customers might like.
They weren't anonymous?
They were given a user ID instead of their name. However, though customer names were swapped out with this unique ID, it was still very possible to identify individuals by comparing reviews and rental histories with information stored on, say, IMDb or other online databases. So you could look at someone's perspective, writing style.
Yes, and
I can look at reviews of that same movie on other services, and I can immediately draw comparisons. Oh, this person is this person, this person is this person.
Well, you really shouldn't be doing things online that you...
Well, but renting things from Netflix.
As Eric Schmidt says, in fairness to Netflix, as Eric Schmidt, Stalin, Hitler, George Bush, and Kim Jong-il have all said, if you're doing something, what's the quote?
If you're doing something online and you don't want people to
know about it, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. It's that simple.
Right, come on.
Why didn't I know? If you're doing something online you don't want people to know about, maybe there's... Well, what movie?
Yeah.
Was it Brokeback?
That's what they're calling this, is the Brokeback Mountain situation.
I'm sorry, but was it Heathers? I'm trying to think of things with lesbian overtones.
Right. Or was it...
was it Bound?
Les Mis?
Did you order Les Mis? Was it Punky Brewster Season 2?
Dang.
A lot of lesbian undertones
Absolutely
in Punky
fabulous.
Great show.
No, seriously. I mean...
I'd like to
It
know.
was probably... I want to know exactly what... Because I watched the L Word.
Seasons 1 through 3 of the L Word.
Don't...
Yeah.
You're going to see a lawsuit because I'm going to become outed as a closeted lesbian any moment now. Because I love the L Word.
Exactly.
Big L Word
Well, but get
fan.
this one. It gets worse, actually, if you can believe it. The student is also trying to stop Netflix from holding another contest that's coming up. This time they want to give out zip codes, birth date, and gender information along with the user ID.
I mean, what is that? I mean, come on. That's unnecessary. What do they need this? What do you need my birthday for? Are you, Sagittarius going to order something different? I mean, are we trying to match astrological signs too?
Yeah, I think they're trying to maybe age, gender, see if they can.
If you want age,
get
just
their
give the
algorithm
year
even
somebody was
better.
born. That's enough. Does it matter that I was born in November versus February of 1970? No. My recommendation. Oh, you know what? We were going to recommend that you see 3 Days of the Condor, but you know what? The conversation would be much better since you were born in the winter. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Stupid.
It is stupid.
But this is the same thing AOL did when they gave out data. They're like, oh, we didn't give you privacy data, except that we gave every search thing in a thread, and so when somebody searches for themselves and their home and their name, I search for my name 3 times a day. At least.
Yeah. Google alerts.
I have Google alerts. I have to.
You don't
People
have
are
to
mentioning.
It's just
I have a Google alert for F. Jason.
So yeah, clearly a violation. You think of Netflix's customer privacy. Would it keep you from using Netflix? You're a Netflix
I
customer.
was watching Law & Order Special Victims Unit on instant download on my
Those are great. The
Samsung
whole
Blu-ray.
shows are on there.
Samsung Blu-ray with no commercials. It was so much better than TiVo. or a digital PVR because you don't have to fast forward.
Yeah.
I literally make the decision based on that. But then I have a secondary decision, which is the instant online queue from Netflix is not HD, and my PVR from DirecTV is HD.
It's a little nicer.
Then I want to fast forward because it's HD, but then I want to. But anyway, yes, I would use it even if it was like that. But I have nothing to hide because I am not doing anything online that I'm not proud of.
Wrong, yeah.
They don't allow porn to be downloaded off of Netflix, therefore it's a little bit of a soft issue.
Yes, they don't have adult movies on Netflix. That's true. So.
But what if I'll be honest. I've seen Leni Riefenstahl's. I bought Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will, which is a film made for Hitler.
Just a fun weekend, Saturday.
No, I'll tell you why I
lazy.
bought it. I'll tell you. I also have Olympia. I bought both these movies, and if it came out that Jason Calacanis bought movies that were Hitler propaganda
You
films,
admire
I'm a
Nazi
Nazi.
filmmaking, yeah.
I admire Nazi filmmaking, but the truth is, I read Leni Riefenstahl's biography.
Right.
I saw the movie The Wonderful Horrible Life of Leni Riefenstahl. I was fascinated by her as a character.
She's an amazing filmmaker.
And she's an amazing filmmaker, and I wanted to see these two great films. I'm a film buff. But I bought Nazi propaganda. So now, if that got out, trust me, I would sue. Well, nobody's going to know. But, I mean, literally, now somebody can put the headline, Calacanis buys Nazi propaganda. And I can say, like, yes, that is true. If you look, I mean, if I was using Blippy, I'm using Blippy now, but not, and I bought Triumph of the Will and Olympia.
Right.
Somebody's going to print a headline. I'm just thinking about this now. I would not have bought it.
You wouldn't want to buy that on your Blippy card. That's true.
Are you kidding me? Calacanis buys, Hitler propaganda?
Interestingly, one thing I just thought of with this is...
What have you bought that you're not proud of? What have you rented you're not proud of? Give us the top three.
There's definitely tons of movies that I have
Well,
rented.
think about it. What have you rented that you would say, I would be very embarrassed that this came out?
As a film student, we had to rent
Under
Birth
a
of a
Dusty
Nation and watch that.
Well, but that's, Birth of a Nation's the first
So,
film.
Blue Crush.
Blue Crush, yeah, that would do it for me.
There's definitely guilty pleasure movies that, check out. Transformers 2. I just watched Transformers 2.
That was so annoying to watch Transformers 2. I watched it on Virgin. I fell asleep like
It's
4
just so
times.
blurry,
and
man.
all
You
it
can't
is
see
like
anything.
every single scene,
It
something is
never
unpacking
stops.
or moving together. I can't watch it. Please stay as one object for more than 30 seconds.
Well, it's almost avant-garde filmmaking because there's no story, there's no characters, there's no dialogue at all.
No.
There's not even anything you'd really consider a scene. Everything is just constantly fragments and half-heard
Which is why I
exchanges.
told people last week they should just watch Gladiator fight scenes to get their,
Well, but even in Gladiator, Ridley Scott does that shaky camera thing I'm not crazy
He does
about.
that. I like it in Gladiator.
The opening scene in Gladiator is great.
Oh,
the Visigoths.
Unleash Hell.
Battle.
For the folks who don't know at home, you guys will go on about movies all day. We gotta wrap this up.
we should
Oh, is it 3:30 already?
We should
Yeah.
keep moving. We should keep
All right,
moving.
last story, please.
Last story. Let's talk about URL shorteners. Facebook and Google have both announced their own shortened URL services, fb.me and goo.gl, Google, I guess.
Yes.
Thus far, the Google shortener is only available through the toolbar and FeedBurner, but is likely to become a standalone product. In response, Bitly, the current leader in the URL shortening world, announced it's going to launch a pro service with advanced features, and Bitly.tv, which will aggregate the web's top videos based on their Bitly data. So are new features like this going to be enough to keep Bitly competitive now that these big giants are entering the field?
Yeah, I think URL shorteners are nothing special about them. It's what you do with it.
Right.
So I think Bitly is going to make a dig-like service, is my guess. And they'll compete against StumbleUpon and Dig because they have so much great link data. If this link has happened 50 times in the last 30 seconds, there's something good about the link. But also Google is going to be tracking that data as well. It's incumbent upon the startup to move quicker than the big boys to get there. There is a bigger issue here, which I think is Twitter. Forget about Google competing with people. Twitter launched lists.
Yes.
There were tons of people doing Twitter groups.
Right.
All those services are now dead.
Well, you don't need it anymore. You got lists.
Precisely. All those people spent dozens of weekends, literally hours, literally as much as 5 hours building those services. But all those people are talking about, oh my God, I'm building something based on the Twitter API. If you build something based on the Twitter API, it's a hobby, not a business.
Yeah.
Period. Anybody who says that they've built a business on top of Twitter's API, 99% of the time, they are deluding themselves. Because if it becomes an important feature, Twitter will add it. We saw this with Microsoft with Windows and Office. The biggest products for use on Microsoft used to be WordPerfect and Lotus 123 and DBase and Paradox. They're all dead. Why are they dead? Because Microsoft built competing products that destroyed their partners when they realized those partners were making more money and had a better business than their operating system. It's only a matter of time before Zuckerberg kills Zynga and decides he's going to do his own games and his own virtual currency, and Zynga will be SOL. This week, Twitter launched contributors. And what is that? CodeTweet is the company that allows like multiple people from one company to use one Twitter account?
Yeah.
That company now is toast. And I said that, and Evan Williams said, we have no interest in killing CodeTweet, and we have more features that they're going to be able to do. Guess what? I know he has no interest in doing it. I know Ev's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. He doesn't have any choice in this matter. People are going to build functionality that is most needed on Twitter. Twitter is going to build the most needed functionality as they expand. Sure. What that means is the API people are building, month February, March, April of the rollout, and Twitter's on December, and they'll be on January, and then when they hit February, they're going to cut the legs out from under those people. If you build something with a public API, the people who have the primary service have the right to put you out of business, have the right to include that feature. When they do, they will. This is why I don't think Seismic is a good business. This is why I don't think TweetDeck is a good business. This is why I don't think TwitPic is a good business. All of those things will be gone. They will not exist in 5 or 10 years. And I didn't invest in Seismic. Luik's a friend of mine, sort of, and he asked me to invest, and I said, no, I don't think it's going to work. And we've got a little bit of a falling out right now over the whole pay-for-play thing. Yes. But, I still think he should do some other business where he is the core asset, not he's building somebody else's core asset. And basically, anybody who's building those businesses is hoping, praying, they get bought by the primary service before they go out of business.
Right.
You absolutely can be sure that there will be an iPhone client, a BlackBerry client, and a picture service and a video service incorporated into Twitter within the next year or two. Period. All those secondary services are gone. I mean, Twitter wants to be a mass consumption product. What are they going to do? I mean, you saw it with MySpace. They got rid of the photo people slide, right? And other people, and they bought PhotoBucket. Now they're selling it again. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but anyway. Any thoughts on that?
I agree with building. It's pretty scary to build a business on top of an API. To suck in the API to enhance your business, fine, but to roll the dice on one product and their API is really, really dangerous.
Let's do another contest. Anybody who writes a review of this episode, high quality review with insights.
Yes.
It has to be colorful. At least 500 words, which is not a lot of words.
No, 500.
But write something
Perfectly
colorful
matched.
about the episode, post it on a blog somewhere, send in your URL to Twitter with #twist. Alex will check. We'll give away another MacBook Mini between now and the next show. On the next show, we will announce who won the Mac Mini $500 gift card from Apple for this. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
No, actually, wait a second. I should do a Microsoft product.
There you go.
Xbox 360. What does that cost? $400?
400? No, less than that. 400 is a lot. That's for the elite tricked out one with all the bells and
There's
whistles.
a $5,000 one, right? The gold one.
No, yes.
You're not going to get a gold one. All right, here it is.
I think it's 300 for an Xbox.
Is it 300?
I think so.
What does a Zune cost? 200?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, here. Xbox and a Zune, $500 in value.
Wow.
Put together. It's the Bing
that's an awesome
contest
prize.
for writing a review. $299 for $299 and up. And then what is a Zune? I think it's $200. So anyway, $500 in value of Microsoft product from your pal Jason for writing a review between now and then.
Maybe an Xbox and 4 of the hot games that are out right now.
Something like that. We'll come up with something like that.
Assassin's Creed 2, great game.
Call of Duty. Woo!
Call of Duty, Arkham Asylum. You're throwing a few of those.
Oh wow, this could be $600, and I got to think about this.
$500 Microsoft prize pack.
A $500 Microsoft prize package to the person who writes the best review, as deemed the best review. Yes, by Lon and Tyler. They'll do the work, not me.
Ooh.
Thank you, DNA Mail. Thank you, Power VPS. Thank you, WebSpy. Thank you, Ustream. Rock solid service, and thank you, Bing, Bing, Bing. Everybody try the video search. Everybody type 10 searches into Bing Video. Make 3 of them dirty searches. See how amazing it is.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Lon endorses it.
Stuff. I do.
Thank you, Shawn Gold. You're a great guest.
Thank
Great
you.
friend. I appreciate all the great years of support. And good luck with Cocodot. I love the service. My wife loves it, and I think it's going to be very successful. Thank you to Tyler for all his wonderful insights. Thank you to Kenny Chen and J Mac for falling all over each other. I appreciate the effort. Next Tuesday, when we have Danny Levy in the bonus episode, next week a bonus episode. Well, it's not really a bonus episode. It's going to be next week's episode, pre-Christmas episode.
Pre-Christmas.
Danny Levy, who you know, good friend of ours. Danny Levy founded
Daily Candy.
Daily Candy, bought for
125 million.
125 million beans.
Not bad.
That's a lot of high
With 2
societies.
million names in the list.
That's all you need, 2 million names? It's 100
That's all
million.
the names that were on that list.
Hello. She's going to be on the program on Tuesday. Our second female guest.
Oh, nice.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I've been trying to recruit the
Finally.
ladies. Well, we had Annie Duke.
And we had Annie Duke, and we've made a genuine effort at this point.
I
We've
am
had a lot of
taking-
names
but
thrown out. We've invited
In
a lot of
fairness, you
people.
have to be a founder, CEO,
Right.
major person. I'm not going to take a PR person just because they're female. You know what I'm saying?
I understand, yeah.
I'm not that kind of like affirmative action kind of guy.
No.
Is that affirmative action when it's a male-female?
Yeah, it could be a form of affirmative action. Sure.
Right. So I'm not going to just have like half females, but they don't have to be a CEO founder.
Well, I mean, some would say
And it has to be a good
affirmative action,
company.
They're good people. They're just, not maybe the number one. You're taking other things into account.
I'm only taking into account if they're number 1 or 2 in the
Right.
company. I don't
That's
care
the
their
point.
gender.
Yes.
So, and it has to be a company of note. I don't want. Some people send in suggestions like, "Oh, this person has a PR she's the CEO of a PR company and she's got 3 employees," and I'm like, "That's not. What other PR person have we had on the show?" I kill myself before I'd have a PR person on the show.
Oh, that's harsh.
Literally.
There's some
Literally.
delightful
Well, if the
people
ratings
in
get
public
low enough, we
relations.
can.
Literally.
That'd be good.
Literally.
Do we get
Literally,
ratings?
you could have
Do we
the.
get ratings in?
Yes, the ratings are in.
Really?
I will.
Arbitron is doing that or something?
All right, everybody get to work on your reviews. Everybody tweet the show. Be supportive of the sponsors.
Yeah.
And everybody have a good weekend.
Right.
Good show.
Good show.
Good show, everybody. It's got to be entertaining.
That's funny. Yeah.
Show's wildly entertaining. I love it.